The AM, KDWN.
Good morning, I'm John Schaefer. Governor Steve Sisolak says Nevada may allow the reopening on May 15th of many businesses that were deemed non-essential and some outdoor spaces. But bars, casinos, and shopping malls would likely stay closed.
The fog feels like it's clearing away, and many of you are probably asking why you're sitting at home. Why are schools closed? Why can't you grab a beer with your buddies or go to a game with your family? I get it. I really do.
Sisolak said he will move Nevada into the first phase of reopening its economy only if the state meets a number of goals, including seeing 14 days of declining cases and hospitalizations for the coronavirus. Possible restaurants and personal care services like barbers and hairstylists may resume services on May 15th, but state officials are still trying to determine if that can be done safely. Another 88 cases of COVID-19 and 6 new fatalities were reported in Clark County over the past 24 hours, pushing the county death toll from the disease to 202. The new cases reported by the Southern Nevada Health District brought the total cases reported in the county to 3,979. Nevada's COVID-19 total continued to climb with 5,050 cases reported statewide. The statewide death toll also rose by 6 to 243. President Trump is making a rare acknowledgement of a shortcoming in his administration's virus response.
More than 11,000 U.S. coronavirus deaths have been connected to nursing homes.
I guess you could call it a little bit of a weak spot because things are happening at the nursing homes and we're not happy about that.
Among other steps, the president says FEMA will soon send more personal protective gear to nursing homes and spend more to boost inspections. The moves come with campaign advisors increasingly worried the virus fallout's hurting the president's support among older voters, a key part of his re-election strategy. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Essential workers will strike nationwide on May Day to demand safer conditions during the coronavirus outbreak. Organizers say employees of Amazon, Whole Foods, Target, and FedEx have become the unexpected frontline workers of the pandemic. Workers will walk off the job or call out sick to demand unpaid time off, hazard pay, sick leave, protective gear, and cleaning supplies. Nevada's plan to conduct its June 9th primary election mostly by mail in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic has survived its first legal test in federal court. The U.S. District Judge rejected an attempt by a conservative voting rights group to block the primary based on concerns about potential voter fraud. The judge ruled the Voters' Rights Initiative failed to establish legal standing necessary to obtain a court order blocking the election. She says Nevada's interest in protecting the health and safety of voters outweighs any concerns raised by the opponents. With a check on our weather, here's News 3's Kelly Curran.
We're looking at mainly sunny skies across the area today. Temperatures still well above normal. We're going to top out in the mid-90s today, and it's going to be a bit breezy as well, with winds out of the southwest at 10 to 20 miles per hour and gusts up to 30. Keep listening for more updates throughout the day from News 3, your weather authority.
Sunny, 81 in Las Vegas. I'm John Schaefer on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDON, Las Vegas' only FM news talk station. With the latest on the roads, here's John Michaels.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by CVS. The crash reported on 95 southbound near Cheyenne Avenue. Vehicles remain off to the right. Looks like that's now in the clearing stage. On the surface streets, a crash Jones at Oakey. With police with the scene, avoid delays, take an alternate like Rainbow or Decatur. And an accident reported Rainbow Boulevard, northbound at Charleston. This is with injuries sustained. Police and fire with the scene. Avoid heavy slowing, take an alternate like Buffalo or Torrey Pines instead. Get free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and store essentials from CVS. Visit online or call your local CVS to learn more. Restrictions apply. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
I'm Jim Snyder.
And I'm Marie Mortera. We want to thank you for making News 3 your #1 choice for news.
Every weeknight at 11, you can count on us to have the big story of the day.
Plus breaking news that matters to you.
Jim Snyder and Marie Mortera. News 3 live at 11.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Hi, Doug Basham here. Join me Saturday afternoons from 2 to 4, and I'll tell you what your conservative, corporate-controlled, right-wing propaganda hate media isn't. You're welcome. That's Saturday afternoons, 2 to 4. Be there.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, Las Vegas. What's up? It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. Thanks for joining us. So glad you could be here with us live, baby, on a Friday. Yeah, we had a little bit of technical difficulties yesterday on the show, so we had to play a best of. But we're back at you live, as I said, on a Friday from Seawin's household. A lot to get to, a lot to go over today. We're going to have some good old that fashion fun, and we're going to have some good conversation. And, of course, this show's about you. We're taking your calls as well. Coming up here at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk to Retail Association of Nevada's very own Brian Wachter. How does he feel about Governor Sisolak's, stay-at-home orders and now, the extension? So good to get some get his side of things and how he feels about this. And then coming up later on in the program, as you know, they had this Chicago Bulls documentary, a lot of it with the Detroit Pistons and the trials and tribulations that Michael Jordan and the Bulls had to go through in order to finally get over the top and defeat the Detroit Pistons. So why not have one of our very own? Legendary Detroit Piston and, of course, the head coach of the Las Vegas Aces, Bill Laimbeer, will be joining us in hour number 3 to talk a little bit about the Last Dance and the Las Vegas Aces as well. Of course, they just had their draft, so we'll talk a little bit about that as well, see how he's doing in quarantine. And then, going to be fun, coming up in hour number 3. He's known for his most famous role, of course, in my opinion, the best show in the history of television. That's just my opinion. It would be The Sopranos. Vito. The guy who played Vito, Joseph Ganascoli, will be joining us coming up in hour number 3. And a big reason why we're having him on, not just to talk about The Sopranos, but he's doing some great things to help those that are in need during this coronavirus in some tough times. So he'll be joining us in hour number 3. But we got to get to the big news right off the bat. As you know, Governor Steve Sisolak had a press conference yesterday at around 5 p.m. And in that press conference, he talked about a lot of things. I think he showed empathy towards people, and he talked about his vision for what's going to be happening here. He has loosened up some of these rules as far as golf and tennis right away. That implemented today. But he also said, he wants to get to phase 1. And these next couple weeks are going to dictate when phase 1 starts. Most likely, not an exact time, most likely it'll be sometime around mid-May where phase 1 does start. And then he talked about how do we get to phase 2? How do we get to phase 3? Took questions from the media. But I agree with the way he's going about this. He's going about it very slowly. He's being very careful about this. And here's a little, when I said he shows empathy, and he showed empathy before. Governor Sisolak, laid out this road to recovery. And in this clip in the press conference yesterday, he addressed, people's frustrations with this stay-at-home order. So have a listen to this.
The fog feels like it's clearing away, and many of you are probably asking why you're sitting at home. Why are schools closed? Why can't you grab a beer with your buddies or go to a game with your family? I get it. I really do. Because we've done such a good job, the threat of COVID-19 feels distant and abstract. To many, it might not feel as scary anymore. But I have the unfortunate responsibility to remind all of us that the threat remains real.
I agree with him. He knows how serious this threat is. He also understands that there are people out there struggling, like I think most of us do, when it comes to unemployment, when it comes to small business. In my personal opinion, and we'll talk about this, he's going about it the right way. He's, not going to rush into anything like some of these other states are doing. He's going to go into this slowly and methodically and make sure that people are safe. It might not be perfect, but I think he's going about it the right way. But while this was all going on, guys, and you have the governor talking yesterday, and governors are trying to figure out, okay, how do we get things back to where we want it to be? This is what was going on in Michigan, ladies and gentlemen. In Michigan, protesters started to go inside the Capitol with their guns, some of them, by the way, with Confederate flags, rushing into the state capitol. Some people are comparing them to terrorists. Intimidation, think they're tough guys with their guns, screaming, hooting and hollering, and yelling because they're a bunch of dopes. I want you, quickly here, to have a listen to this. This is what it sounded like inside this Michigan protest inside the Capitol. Have a listen to this. Yeah, what a bunch of dopes. Let me be very clear, okay? We'll get back to Sisolak here in a second. If you're one of those people that was in Michigan that marched into the Capitol, some of whom had camouflage on, looking like a bunch of dopes, some of them with their AR-15s, screaming and yelling, I'll say it again, you are some of the most ignorant and trashiest human beings this country has to offer. You accomplished nothing. You look like a fool. And, you know, this is Trump America, folks. Every Donald Trump supporter do this? No. But make no mistake about it, there were no Democrats there. There were no Biden signs. These were a bunch of Make America Great Again people that are representing the President of the United States, and don't tell me that Donald Trump has nothing to do with this. He said, liberate Michigan. He is absolutely part of the reason why this is going on right now. People screaming and yelling obscenities with their camouflage. Yes, there were some Confederate flags there yesterday with their AR-15s. Some people are calling you terrorists. While you didn't kill anybody, you are certainly frightening people and scaring people. Explain to me the other reason why you would walk in there with an AR-15 other than to intimidate people. Don't you talk to me about it's your First or Second Amendment right. Don't you give me that excuse.
Which it is.
Yeah. So do you support the way they handled that protest in Michigan yesterday?
I don't want to really talk about Michigan that much, but no, I don't support the way they handled it. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of people using guns to leverage intimidation and to get things done like that. That being said, there was no shots fired, Brian.
Doesn't have to be shots fired for me to make my point.
I'm not really sure you even made a point, but there were no.
What do you mean I didn't make a point?
There were no shots fired.
You don't think I made a point?
And the state of Michigan,
I'm telling you, these people are morons, idiots.
Is very, very angry. In fact, I think Wisconsin is about to get very, very angry.
So if you're angry, there was a
woman 2 days ago. Her daughter was arrested, the police came to her because her daughter was playing with her friend.
What does that have to do with what happened at the
neighbor.
state capitol?
Well, I'm just saying that there's a lot of people that are angry across the country right now.
I don't doubt that.
A lot of people.
I don't doubt that.
A lot of people in Nevada are very, very angry as well.
Some people.
And I thought Steve Sisolak's speech was extremely. I thought it was terrible. I don't think there's a plan. I think that this phased out process. Okay, so you have all these people in the entertainment capital of the world that are just in lockdown. They have all this pent up energy to do things, and so you gradually open things up. Well, if you're going to gradually open things up, then aren't people going to go wherever those things are open? So if there's only a couple things open and you've got 2 million people that want to get out and do something, they're going to go to the same place. They're going to gradually gravitate to the same place, which is going to make the virus spread even faster. That's why the gradual reopening doesn't make a lot of sense, Brian. Because if you're sitting at home and you want to go out and you want to go somewhere and you find out that, okay, well, I can now go to a basketball court or a pickleball court. And we're not even talking about that. Brian, how are we not in phase one? We have 5,200 cases in the entire state. And of those, only 1,850 are active, Brian. We have the lowest active percentage rate for cases in the United States. We're the second lowest of states that have over 1,000 cases. So the chance of you actually getting the virus in Las Vegas is not very high. For example, in Nebraska, there's 3,900 cases. 3,800 of them are active. That's a 99% active rate. And what that means in Nevada is, has there been 237 deaths? Yes, which is very, very low for the rest of the country. That being said, there's also been a lot of recoveries, and we have absolutely no idea when the virus, and I've said this probably 15 times, when the virus actually got here, when it started circulating. Antibody tests are saying that, and we have someone coming on next week to actually who had an antibody test that he got back from being sick in December, but antibody tests are showing that this virus has circulated here for quite some time. So Sisolak can't just say, well, there's a reason why our cases are low. He doesn't know. The grocery stores have been open every single day for the last 3 months. There's 10 to 20,000 going through there every single day. That's not going to change. He has no idea, and he makes these very definitive, confident statements with very little backing them. Because again, we don't know when the virus got here. We have no idea how long it's been circulating, and we don't know the mortality rate, and we don't know if hot weather, although there's been conversations that it does, but we don't know if hot weather stops it from spreading worse.
I want to circle back, though, to the topic at hand, of course, which is the protesters across the country. Obviously, the topic at hand is the protesters. Yes, he's basically talking about the situation regarding not just in Michigan. Of course, there's been protests around the country. Yes, people are concerned out there, okay? People are worried about their financial security, about their health security out there. The uncertainty has created this type of atmosphere. But there is it is unacceptable to have people with loaded weapons rolling into state institutions, okay, and blocking public officials and lawmakers from doing their job or practicing any type of intimidation. There's nothing. This is the United States of America. This is not countries that do that, okay? So it was absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion, the way that it was handled. So the question, I guess, was what do you think about the protesters and how they handled it? I think it's not something that we do here in the United States of America, okay? Yes, we have rights. Yes, everybody is, and by the way, a lot of us sympathize with these protesters. 80 to 90% of Americans, basically 100% of Americans, I think, want to get back to work. 100% of Americans want to open up society, okay? But 80 to 90% of Americans, and that's not just some number I'm throwing out there, 80 to 90% support the stay-at-home order. They support the steps being taken as far as social distancing in America. So this whole notion, okay, that somehow these protesters and the protesters, not just in Michigan, not just in places like Maryland and Virginia, and of course here in Nevada, all right, it is a severe minority. It is not some majority of people out there that are on board with these people that are taking these steps. So I just wanted to point that out and kind of get back to what the actual topic was. I mean, I understand, JD, you're very passionate as far as what you
both questions,
your thoughts
the Michigan and the Nevada thing.
Overall,
right.
what Steve Sisolak, his approach has been to this. But look, he's one governor in a country of numerous governors that have very difficult decisions to make.
He's one governor.
And people say things like he doesn't have a plan, yet the same people that say he doesn't have a plan have absolutely no plan of their own that they would substitute it for. So it's just, I mean, look, we only have one president.
I've told you,
we only have one governor, and so they have to make
Chris.
the decisions. They have to make the decisions. And look, there might be some people that disagree with his certain decisions that he makes, whether it's having golf, et cetera, but I think you understand kind of the road I'm going down here.
So let me respond to both of you real quickly. First of all, some of the people that say they have a plan are some of the same people that said gaming should have never been closed. I think that is completely and utterly ridiculous.
I'm saying based on the economy in Nevada,
I understand.
Gaming, because of how important it is for tax revenue to pay for things, it probably should never have been closed.
But there's not even a tenth of a percentage of people that would agree with that, unless they are extreme, that think that the gaming and the casinos should have never been closed.
If they actually understood how necessary it is for the Nevada economy to exist.
But to your point, JD, he's using casino and hospitality and business leaders across the board to make the decisions. You think it's just Steve Sisolak that's saying, oh, you know what? I'm going to make these decisions on my own. I'm not going to listen to anybody who are leaders in those industries. He's listening to people that matter.
I think he is trying to shoulder blame onto other people if and when the economy does implode, which, in my opinion, at this point, if casinos stay closed through July, which will be through June, which will most likely be phase 4, then I believe.
Is he not listening to casino business leaders?
You guys got to let me interject.
Is he not doing that?
All right. You guys got to let me talk here for a second because I want to give you my opinion on the things you said and things you said. Yes, I'm with you, Chris. What happened in Michigan was a disgrace. Those people are extremely stupid individuals walking in there with their AR-15s, and they're just ignorant people, and it's dangerous. So that was my first question, and that's what we. But in regards to Governor Sisolak, the idea that Governor Sisolak wants to intentionally hurt local businesses and wants to intentionally hurt people in the state is a joke. Now, if you disagree with the way he's doing certain things, fine. But in my opinion, any logical human being would say, Governor Sisolak, when he shut down the Strip, he did the right thing. In fact, even many people on the right are giving him credit for that. But you've also been you have to be consistent. You've also been on the record on this show as saying you don't think gaming should have ever been closed. Which one is it?
I said I'm not sure that gaming should have been closed.
You didn't say you weren't sure.
Yes, I did, Brian. You are putting words in my mouth. I agreed with Sisolak shutting down the Strip simply because it will lose money.
Disagreeing with yourself.
No, I'm not. I'm saying gaming collectively in Nevada should have probably not been shut down because
that's the strip.
No, because it's not.
What's gaming?
That's part of the strip.
That's a huge part of the strip.
Brian, the strip cannot stay open because there's not enough tourism. I'm saying.
You think they would keep the strip open without allowing any gaming? That would never happen.
Brian, the strip would not make any money under the circumstances. You're twisting what I'm saying.
Casinos in Nevada make money if there's a virus out there that you need to mitigate from.
I am saying
no casinos can make money.
That gaming in Nevada should probably be an essential business, considering how essential it is. How essential it is just in Nevada because of how keep in mind our state is set up totally differently.
Okay, so
we don't have a state income tax.
For me.
We don't have a food tax.
Hang on.
The gas tax money was spent on a $21 million Swiss jet for Steve Sisolak a couple months ago.
Okay, you're confusing.
No, I'm not confused. You are trying to spin what I'm saying, Brian. I'm not allowing you to do it, and I'm not going to allow you to do it. Because you're trying to spin when I know you're not.
I'm not trying to spin.
You are.
Okay.
You are.
Can I
You talk about the jet though too. The jet would have been either governor if he was Republican or Democrat. It would have been their jet.
I'm just saying, but that money came. That came out of the gas tax money.
Okay, so Steve Sisolak's a Democrat.
Right now
he gets a jet, but no Republican governor would get a jet.
I'm trying not to interrupt. I'm
saying that money's been
spent. You got to let me talk for more than 10 seconds. I'm trying to ask you a question, and I'm trying to get you to clarify what you said. I'm very confused, and I think if I'm confused, a lot of our listeners are confused. So I'm going to go through this again. You are willing to give Steve Sisolak, the governor, credit for closing the strip.
Which I've done for a month.
If you could let me finish. However, you're also telling the listeners that you think gaming is so essential that it should have never been shut down. So which one is it?
No, I am saying I think that gaming could be considered an essential business because of how important it is to keep the Nevada economy
what does that
going.
mean?
And not just the economy, but also to pay for police officers.
What does that mean?
To pay for fire department, et cetera, et cetera. What do you mean? What does it mean?
Are you saying the casinos?
I just told you what it meant. You don't. If you can understand what it means, that's your problem, not mine. That being said,
are you saying?
Obviously, no. You're trying to treat me like
an answer.
No, you're treating me like a caller. You're trying to push me in the corner.
I'm not treating you like a caller.
Yes, you are.
I'm using your own words.
Yes, you are. And I'm not going to let it take place.
So you're telling me. Hold on. So you're telling me
that's not going to happen.
That gaming should have been open. But you're okay with the governor shutting down the strip.
No, I am
saying I'm putting words in your mouth.
I am saying that shutting down the strip was necessary because those businesses with no tourism, they were not going to make any money.
You just said gaming was essential. So I'm trying to understand.
No, but I'm saying gaming. The gaming is not just the strip, Brian. There's a lot of casinos off the strip.
Right,
there's a lot of Brian. There's a lot of local casinos in Nevada that are not the strip.
Let's nail it down.
Yes, I think that gaming should have been considered an essential business because of how important it is to the economy. That being said, the strip can't open. And let me finish. No, you're not. The strip can't open because it would literally be setting money on fire because no one would go there, and it's tourism dependent. Now, other gaming establishments in the state, I think that you could make an argument because of how important that revenue is to keeping the economy and keeping the cities afloat. That you can make an argument that that's an essential business.
Okay,
now I'm finished.
JD, let's clarify this.
At least.
So you're saying that
in this one state in the country.
He's not even going to stop. JD, so let me clarify this then. You're saying that they should have shut down the strip, but they should have kept all the other casino properties in the state of Nevada open. Is what you're trying to say?
I'm saying that.
Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying you could make that argument. Yes.
Are you making
that
argument?
I'm saying you could make that argument. Yes.
Well, I think that okay.
That is,
but it's not ridiculous, Brian.
It's absurd.
It is not absurd. Where's the tax revenue coming from? If gaming is shut down until July, we have 4 months of no tax revenue whatsoever.
Let me interject.
Do you have any idea what that does to the economy?
Okay, you got to let me.
Do you have any clue?
You said you were finished. You got to let me interject now. We got to pinpoint what you're saying. You're saying that gaming on the strip, you're okay with them closing that.
Do you know why?
I'm going
to put you in a corner. Why? Why am I okay with that, Brian? Why am I okay with that?
You could put me in a corner, but just let me finish my thought.
Okay,
please.
Great.
You're saying, and I'll start over because I was interrupted. You're saying that you're okay with closing down the gaming casinos on the strip, but yet opening up a casino like Red Rock or the station casinos. And what I am saying, in my opinion, that is completely and utterly ridiculous.
That's fine.
That would never happen. You're willing to give Governor Sisolak credit for shutting down the strip
because it saved money.
Yet you're also willing to criticize him because your take is they should have opened up station casinos and Red Rock and all these other casinos, but closed down the Strip. And I am telling you, there is not one logical gaming person and not one logical economist and not one logical doctor or scientist, in my personal opinion, that would agree with your stance.
We actually
on that.
had one on the show last week. His name was Ryan Sheltra from Bonanza, and he actually agreed with me verbatim on that.
That was in Reno, actually. Yeah, Reno, right? Bonanza?
Yeah,
Is that what you're talking
Bonanza
about?
and Reno, yes. He actually had the exact same opinion. He gave us a 10-minute argument.
There is a fine line.
And he didn't agree with you that we should open up every other property except for the Strip properties. He never agreed with you on that.
All he said was that, in his opinion, gaming is an essential business in Nevada because of the economy.
That's a different take.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not a different take.
thing.
It's the exact same take. And I'm saying, I'm saying yes, gaming, because of how essential it is, should probably be open. That being said, if the Strip were to open up, it would be literally setting money on fire. But right now, Brian, we're about to have to spend our $400 million rainy day fund just to stay afloat. That's going to have to happen.
They should open up station casinos today, but continue to keep the Strip closed.
Brian,
that's your take.
We have 36% of our 5,000 cases are active in the state right now.
But that's what you think.
There's not a lot of virus out there.
I understand.
There's hospitals that are not full. Hospitalizations have been down for 3 weeks.
You can give me all the stats you want.
Stats matter. You think they don't because I'm not a doctor.
No,
but stats matter.
Okay, so
Brian,
you
look at it like
Red
this.
Rock should be open.
I've been handicapping sports for 5 years. That's what I've done every single day for 5 years. I stopped doing that, and I transferred that same thought process, and I put it towards this virus. So that's why I use stats the way that I do.
So again,
just to let you know,
we only have a couple more minutes, but to be on the record, again,
be on the record.
Right today, you believe that the station casino should be open, but the Flamingo and MGM and Caesars and all these other gaming strip casinos on the Strip should be closed.
And
that is your position.
I've been saying that for 3 weeks. I literally, when we had this conversation, I think on like the 19th, I said yes. All local businesses should open May 1st,
including casinos.
Yes, and if Flamingo and MGM don't want to open, I don't think they should because they're not going to make any money anyways.
So what about Fremont? Should those casinos remain closed as well, or because that's not necessarily the Las Vegas Strip?
Again, if they think that it can make money, then it should be open. But I don't believe that. I think anything on Fremont Street and the Strip most likely would not make any money.
So JD, what you said, the decision is going to be based on whether or not they can make money. Like you think Nevada, you think Steve Sisolak, that's going to be the approach they take. Whether or not they can make money,
Steve Sisolak
they're going to open up one property.
Is doing whatever he can to curry favor to the Democratic Party because he wants a higher level of office.
There's where the truth comes out.
That's what I honestly say. It's not the truth. It's my opinion, Brian.
That's where the truth comes out with a lot of people. They make it political instead of.
It is political, Brian. He just joined.
Well, that's your opinion.
He joined a pact with 4 Democratic states.
Got to take a break,
Brian, to open up the economy.
We got to take a break. We got to take a quick break. All right, so we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking to a guy from the Retail Association of Nevada. How does he feel about Steve Sisolak? How does he feel about the implementing these rules that have been put in place? The press conference yesterday. His name is Brian Wachter, again, from the Retail Association of Nevada. So we're going to kind of get his thoughts from his side of things, because obviously I would imagine he wants a lot of these places to reopen. So I'm going to ask him about that, ask him about the safety concerns. My take from the beginning, and always number one, I don't think number one about money. I'm thinking about how do we make sure that people are safe. And so we're going to ask him about that. I understand there's a big financial side to this. Take a quick break. We'll be joined by Brian Wachter coming up next right here on the Vegas Take.
Guys, waking up over and over to pee is not okay. But now you can reduce those nighttime bathroom trips with the ingredients in Super Beta Prostate P3 Advanced. We're talking about less urges to pee at night, less bathroom trips during the day, and better bladder emptying.
It's like taking 3 prostate supplements in one.
You can try a full 30-day bottle of P3 Advanced, free. Just pay shipping and handling. No strings attached, no obligations, and no commitments to buy. This is a 30-day supply, absolutely free.
Call 1-800-481-1838.
Super Beta Prostate is the best-selling brand in major retailers like Walmart. But for this no-strings-attached free bottle, you must call now.
Call 1-800-481-1838.
Don't miss out on this unprecedented free offer.
Call 1-800-481-1838. 1-800-481-1838.
You've heard me talk about Homey and how they will save you thousands of dollars when you buy or sell a home. Not only are they disrupting the traditional real estate model, but I am blown away by how they are investing in our local community during these tough times. I couldn't be more proud to endorse Homey, and here's why. Homey is committing up to $100,000 to the United Way of Southern Nevada to help keep people in their homes through rent and mortgage assistance for those impacted by COVID-19. For every home bought or sold with Homey over the next 90 days, they will donate $500 to the United Way. Even more importantly, Homey will rebate their entire $2,500 listing fee back to you if you are forced to sell your home due to this crisis. That's right, no selling fee. That's huge. It's amazing to see a new company in Las Vegas step up in such a big way. Text JD to 88588 to buy or sell with Homey. Again, text JD to 88588. Stay safe and save thousands. Homey really does have our back.
Special report coronavirus update. New York is making progress in slowing the spread of the coronavirus, but Governor Andrew Cuomo says schools in the state will remain closed through the end of the academic year.
New Yorkers, Americans, changed reality, literally changed reality. They literally changed the path of the virus spread and reverse the spread, and that's what the close down procedures did. That's what the masks have done. That's what the socially distancing has done.
9,000 people live in rural Modoc County in California, and not one confirmed coronavirus case. Today, the county said it's defying Governor Gavin Newsom and reopening. A lawsuit alleges the Department of Education has continued to garnish wages from workers behind on student loans after Congress told it to stop. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads
from the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by CVS. A crash still active reported on Rainbow Boulevard northbound, north of Charleston. Avoid delays, take an alternate like Buffalo or Torrey Pines. And road work continues on Craig Road eastbound near Lamb Boulevard. 2 right lanes blocked between Lamb and Cobbersade Street. That is ongoing until May 8th. Also road work in effect 95 northbound Ann Road. The on-ramp from Ann is closed until tomorrow morning. Get free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and store essentials from CVS. Visit online or call your local CVS to learn more. Restrictions apply. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
This is a commercial announcement. Picture this scenario. A shortage of fuel has closed your electric utility, or any possible disaster has just devastated your town. You're out of power, no lights, and no news. That's why federal and state agencies urge every home to have an emergency radio. Now you can get a free Dynamo World Band emergency radio. This powerful radio lets you stay informed during any type of emergency. It doesn't even need batteries and comes with a hand-crank generator and super bright LED flashlight. The Dynamo emergency radio includes the NOAA weather band, a long-range AM receiver, a high-sensitivity FM band, and even a USB jack to charge cell phones or other devices. The Dynamo emergency weather band radio retails for almost $30. But Newsmax wants to make sure you get this radio. So check out the free offer for the emergency radio by going to gettheradio.com. That's gettheradio.com or call 800-NEWSMAX. This radio could save your life. This is a limited offer and may end soon, so order today.
Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. See Whitten sitting in as well, broadcasting live on a Friday. As you know, Governor Steve Sisolak held that press conference yesterday, looking at when do we start phase 1. Well, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen tomorrow. Could be before the 15th of May. Could be around the 15th of May. It looks like that's probably what's going to happen. Then it's going to take minimum of 2 to 3 weeks. That's what he said, minimum of 2 to 3 weeks before we move to phase 2. So the guy we have with us on the line right now, he is with the Retail Association of Nevada, obviously an industry that is mightily struggling. All local businesses are struggling right now, certainly retail, and his name is Brian Wachter, and he joins us right now on the line. Brian, I appreciate you coming on. How are you?
I'm well. Thank you for having me this morning.
Sure, you bet. So I guess my first question would be a loaded question. Your thoughts on Governor Sisolak, your thoughts on what he's done in the retail industry and local business. Do you think he's going about it the right way? What would you say to Steve Sisolak right now?
Well, we would say that we appreciate, I think, the cautious optimism that he showed yesterday at the press conference. I believe wholeheartedly that he and all of our elected officials want the economy back up and running. They're not keeping us closed because there's a reason or an ill intent, but really making sure that we have the testing capacity to be able to accurately predict where the disease might head, and then making sure that we have the hospital capacity to deal with any kind of sudden surge. We saw today on the state reported numbers our largest increase in the last 3 weeks. That could be because of testing, but it also could, signify that the virus is still there. So we appreciate how cautiously we're moving, and we're excited to begin looking at these phases.
Brian, I appreciate you saying that because, listen, you're with the Retail Association of Nevada, and you could have come on the radio today and you could have said, he's doing a horrible job. He's doing it for political reasons. They want to get Donald Trump out of office. There's some people on the right, and I know you don't speak for them, but there are some on the right that are using those type of talking points. I'm just saying I appreciate the fact that you're kind of echoing exactly what I'm saying. It's not like he wants you to suffer, right? He's trying to be cautious about it and be responsible about it because, as I'm sure you would agree, if we opened up all retail today and the virus started to spread again, which could be a possibility, there's no going back, right? We have one shot at getting this right. Is that how you feel, Brian, about this as well?
Well, we're very concerned about some sort of kind of reemergence or growth. We think, for our small guys, holding on for as long as they have these last, 50 days or so, not being able to open. Some of them have had the cash flow to be able to keep their employees on. A lot of them haven't. And being able to reopen is going to be a life or death kind of situation for these businesses. We also, I think, have to recognize that the market and consumers are going to dictate a lot of that behavior. Government, can essentially say we're reopened, but we've been monitoring consumer behavior during this entire process, and consumers are still very cautious. The majority of our folks that we surveyed would still list this on a scale of 1 to 9 as an 8. So they are concerned. So I think customers and consumers are going to ultimately make the decision as to what they feel comfortable doing when.
Mm-hmm.
And to that end, I would say we appreciate the cautiousness, but there are some things we think government could be doing to help us reopen, maybe more efficiently or with a lot more confidence that what we're going to be doing is going to work and is going to have some economic gain.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Brian Wachter from the Retail Association of Nevada. So Brian, how do you think this is going to work out? For any type of retail store, even like a clothing store, something like that, are we going to have like a number, only an amount of people are allowed in the store at one time? Do you think there's going to be like curbside shopping? What do you think we're going to see from day one when some of these stores are partially allowed to open?
Well, we're really, that starts today, actually. The governor did, remove some of those restrictions on retailers that weren't open that can be able to provide kind of a curbside experience.
Like alcohol?
For their customers. Well, like alcohol, but now it'll, essentially any store now can engage in curbside practices as long as they're maintaining the guidelines from OSHA as well as the CDC and then the state health department. And so really it's going to be how do these customers spend the next 2 weeks getting to that level of infrastructure so that can maintain, can be maintained as a big core part of their business as we start allowing, maybe a few people into a store at a time. And that's all going to be, I think, really about how businesses themselves on an individual level are going to be able to play within the set of rules that they're going to be given.
Brian, given the uniqueness, of course, of what we have here in Las Vegas and in the state of Nevada, that a lot of our economy is obviously driven by hospitality and the gaming industry, and we've seen the phasing program that has been put out there by Governor Sisolak and our leaders here. Do you anticipate that we're going to end up on the back end of the phases as far as a major part of our economy, right? When you talk about hotels, when you talk about casinos, when you talk about restaurants and bars, we have so many that are a monster part of what we do here in this part of the country and here in Las Vegas and here in Nevada. Do you think that basically the back end of the phases is where we're going to start really opening up these establishments?
Well, we have to remember that in Clark County, in Las Vegas, on any given month, tourists usually outnumber residents.
Right.
And so the question is going to be, when can we get back to kind of a full economy or full economic activity when we rely so heavily on folks coming into the state. So we can do all that we can do in Nevada, making sure, and we're looking at the leadership, and I think it's been awesome from the resorts on what they're doing to make sure that their customers feel safe and confident in order to be able to travel. But I think that's why Nevada is looking at such a long recovery period, regardless of what we do in these phases or when, because it's actually going to come down to, is worldwide travel back enough that folks are feeling comfortable and confident to begin picking up those activities.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be worldwide travel. It's going to be domestic travel. That's what Vegas is going to focus on advertising-wise over the next 6 to 12 months. But as you know, 99% of businesses in Nevada are small businesses, and only 3.2% of those small businesses have actually gotten loans from the Small Business Association that have been issued by the government, the $600 billion that has been issued collectively so far. What do you think that is going to do to the numbers for the retail industry over the next, we'll call it 2 years?
Well, for the PPP program, we have members that are in kind of every stage of this particular process. So we have members that have still been unable to even get a relationship with a bank to be able to apply to the SBA loan. We've got folks that have relationships with banks that now have applied to the SBA and are waiting from them. We have folks that have been approved by the SBA but haven't been funded, and we're starting to see members now that have been funded from these loans. And so we're able to kind of see the experience that our members are going through at each stage, and then ultimately what they're doing now that it's kind of quote-unquote works. And our members have experienced problems at every level. And the folks that have been funded are coming across and finding it difficult to increase their workforce or bring it up. As those loans, there's an employee census on June 30th that has to match your employee census from February in order for those loans to be forgiven. And we're experiencing now where companies are having a difficult time getting enough employees to meet those requirements.
How many of those companies, in your opinion, are phase 3 or would be considered, phase 3, phase 4 companies that open up under those circumstances? And if this lasts another 2 or 3 months, will that money that they're given from the federal government even support them through that time?
Well, we have, from the retail industry, we have members at every size of the industry and at every different walk. So for those, our salons, our hairdressers, our barbershops, those that are going to be kind of pushed back into maybe more of those phase 2 areas, that is going to be, much more difficult. And whether or not those loans can carry them over, that long is really going to just be depending on time.
Yeah.
And so we do anticipate that there will be additional stress on small businesses the longer we go back. But we think that stress is less than if we opened up and then had to reclose again.
I think we all can agree we'd rather those businesses receive some help and some loans than the LA Lakers, but I guess that's another story for another show. Brian, I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us. Sounds like you're doing a great job with the Retail Association. We appreciate your perspective, and thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brian.
Thanks for the time.
Appreciate that. Brian Watcher, smart guy. Sounds like he's doing a good job in representing, retail and helping people and just giving advice. And it seems like his organization is really doing everything they can to try to propel this forward and to save some of these local businesses. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, Joe Biden accused of sexual assault. Woman by the name of Tara Reid in, I believe, 1993. How the right is handling this, how the left is handling this, about that coming up next. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Imagine being fired because of who you love. Imagine being denied medical treatment because of who you marry.
Well, that was my first question.
Imagine being evicted because of who you want.
That was my girlfriend's on TV.
Millions of Americans don't have to imagine this. They have to live it. Because in 31 states, it's legal to discriminate against LGBT people. Get the facts at beyondido.org. Brought to you by the Gill Foundation and the Ad Council.
If your retirement plan is on set it and forget it, it's time to take control. Tune in for Financial Safari with America's Wealth Coach and best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda. For more than 25 years, Coach Pete has been helping people just like you plan for retirement. Join Coach Pete every week as he discusses topics like why your retirement plan should also be an income plan and how to make sure you're getting the most out of your 401k.
Financial Safari with Coach Pete, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday afternoon at 2 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
Whoa.
long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Sam and Ash are committed to doing what's right for our community here in Las Vegas, especially during these challenging times. With so many of us stuck at home and so many local restaurants in need of patrons, Sam and Ash are awarding a gift card each day for a dinner at one of our great local restaurants. It's the Winner Winner Local Dinner Giveaway. Go to samandash.com for more details. That's samandash.com. Sam and Ash, because you deserve what's right.
Sean Hannity, weekdays noon to 3 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. By the way, we're going to take a few phone calls in a little bit, but before we get to that, want to talk a little Joe Biden. As you know, allegedly, there's a woman by the name of Tara Reid, not the actress, because she would have been like 15 years old, I think, but not the actress Tara Reid. Another Tara Reid, who was, I believe, working in the Joe Biden, was she an intern? I'm not sure exactly what she was. I think she was some sort of intern. She wasn't somebody on the staff with a lot of power. Let's put it that way. And yeah. She, but that's here nor there. She is claiming back in 1993 that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her. Mm-hmm. It's been all over the news. I'm going to get to the way the right is handling it and the way the left is handling it. But Joe Biden made an appearance on MSNBC this morning. And I think at times he did not sound like his conviction wasn't where it needed to be. Let's put it that way. But he did deny the allegation. Mika Brzezinski did the interview on Morning Joe this morning, and she asked him the blatant question, and rightfully so. Did you sexually assault Tara Reid? This is Joe Biden's answer.
No, it is not true. I'm saying unequivocally, it never happened. And it didn't. It never happened.
All right, now whether you believe Joe Biden or not, let me start by saying this. If you're one of those Donald Trump supporters for the last 4 years that never brought up the fact that Donald Trump has over 25 women that have accused him of sexual assault, some have accused him of rape, and you never, ever brought that up, then shut the F up, because you have zero, and I mean zero, credibility. If you want to talk about Joe Biden and this specific case, but you never had a problem with Donald Trump bragging about sexual assault, we have the audio, you've heard it, and over 25 women that have accused him of sexual misconduct, you have no say in this conversation. I mean, no say.
I've never actually heard you drop a hypothetical F-bomb when talking about whataboutism, Brian. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know what you just wait. What? Say that again.
You've destroyed Trump for his potential.
Absolutely.
Now, what are your thoughts on Biden? Do you think he did it?
First of all, I've destroyed Donald Trump not on.
I'm asking about Biden.
Well, you just brought up Donald Trump.
I did.
So now I'm going to answer
your question. Because you brought up Donald Trump.
Right. So now I'm going to answer your
and
question.
You dropped a hypothetical F-bomb.
So now I'm going to answer your question.
Okay.
If you will give me 3 seconds to answer.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So Donald Trump, I have never called him a rapist. I have never gone after Donald Trump and said he sexually assaults women. I did say he bragged about it, on which he did. I've never called him a rapist. I've never called him a sexual predator or a pedophile. I've never done that.
Well,
if I could just finish.
You have implied that he wants to date his daughter.
Okay, if you think I actually truly believe that, you're wrong, because I've not said that directly, but I'm trying to answer your question. Still answering it. Donald Trump, I've called him a womanizer, a cheater. He disrespects women. He doesn't treat them well. I'm going by the way he's treated his ex-wives, having sex with a porn star after his wife of a child. That is what I focused on with Donald Trump. I've never focused on the accusers. Now, here's my opinion on the accusers in general, and the same applies to Donald Trump's accusers. All I'm simply saying is, don't call Joe Biden a sexual assaulter, and don't complain about Joe Biden when you never complained about Donald Trump. I think that is a very fair opinion to have, number one. Number two, every woman deserves to be heard. In my personal opinion, that doesn't mean every woman necessarily is telling the truth, okay?
So you don't think that she is telling the truth?
So I'm giving you my explanation on that. She deserves to be heard, just like every Donald Trump accuser, or any accuser for that matter, deserves to be heard. They deserve an investigation. They deserve to be heard out. Doesn't always mean that we should assume that it's true. Now, here's my opinion on Joe Biden, and I will correlate it to Donald Trump. Joe Biden is in his 70s. To my knowledge, this is the only woman that has ever come forward in his life that claimed that he sexually assaulted her. Now, does that mean it's not true? That's not what I'm saying.
I believe there have been 7.
Okay,
Brian.
not true.
Okay.
Not true. I don't know where you're getting that from. Where did you get that from? That's not true.
I believe there's been 7 women.
Okay. Well,
there's countless pictures of him smelling young women's hair that are not his own.
Okay. Okay, first of all,
that
I've
not
never
his
heard
own kids or his grandkids.
Okay, for the record, I believe you to be wrong.
He's been called Creepy Joe for a long time. And Donald Trump didn't start that.
Okay, listen.
That started on the internet a couple years ago.
Now that's ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
Okay, and I'm just saying. I don't care.
What you're trying to do is you're trying to put together this case that he doesn't have a history of it, therefore I believe.
There's a difference between smelling hair and sexual assault.
You're not letting me finish my thought. First of all, I don't care if Mark Levin or Donald Trump calls him Sleepy Joe or calls him Creepy Joe, because they have zero credibility as far as I'm concerned.
Mark Levin has zero credibility.
In this aspect, I believe Mark Levin. I'll tell you why. He has never criticized the president for anything. He wears the Donald Trump knee pads. Anybody who does that has zero credibility, because he has never brought up all these women that have accused Donald Trump of sexual misconduct. So if he's going to call Joe Biden, or anybody for that matter, not just a radio talk shows, you have zero credibility. Now, I don't know if this woman is telling the truth or not. I don't know. And the point I was trying to make was that she could be telling the truth, but I do think there has to be some sort of investigation. I will say this: Joe Biden did not do himself any favors on MSNBC.
I disagree with you on that. Why do you say he didn't do himself any favors?
I will tell you
said
why.
that he didn't think that he doesn't think it happened. How much more conviction can you say? He denied it.
Chris,
how much more conviction can he have?
When I make a statement like that, I always have stuff to back it up. I was trying to get to that.
Please
you didn't give me an opportunity.
I'm excited for the battle.
Okay, so
I want you guys to go back and forth.
At the University of Delaware, there are records, and in those records, there could be a report. So Mika Brzezinski asked Joe Biden, who is, by the way, blocking anybody from seeing those records, asked Joe Biden, why are you blocking people from seeing those records at the University of Delaware? And he said, well, because there's a lot of other private conversations I had with people. I don't want people to see that. And then Mika Brzezinski doubled down on that question and also asked him, well, why don't you hire an independent commission to go through it so we don't have to release that stuff, basically, just to see if her name is mentioned in a complaint. And he didn't answer the question directly. If you didn't do this and you think and you know she's lying, why not allow the University of Delaware to open up those records? Why not allow an independent investigation into it to prove your innocence? It made him look bad. I didn't like the way he answered the question. It made me feel like he is trying to hide something. Do I know whether he did this or not? Absolutely not. What I do know is when you're 100% innocent, just like in the Donald Trump situation with Stormy Daniels, where he didn't mysteriously know where this $120,000 payment came from, Joe Biden is directly asked, why won't you let an independent people look at these records, or the university look at the records, to see if her name is mentioned in a complaint? He doesn't want that to happen. And my question is, just like Trump doesn't want to show his tax returns, why is it that Joe Biden doesn't want these records? Now, his answer was, well, it has nothing to do with Tara Reid. We have all these other, private conversations.
He's hiding behind confidentiality.
Yeah. I have a problem with that, and it makes him look guilty.
Well, you don't think that has any credibility? You don't think that those answers have any? You don't think those have? If those answers he's giving them for a reason.
Here's the question:
It's not like he's just throwing that out there.
But when did this conversation take place? When did this Delaware report? When was that? 1993.
Yes.
This all went down in 1993.
So if there was something confidential from 1993, how would that be applicable 27 years later? Why can't that be released? Nothing was going to happen over the next 30 to 50 years based on those conversations. Why would he not want to release? Now, if it was, say he was just accused recently and there was something confidential as far as government plans for the next year and he didn't want that to come out, but this was 1993. This was 27 years ago.
Exactly. By the way, kind of leads to my next statement
which is very, very odd why he wouldn't want anyone to look at that, and he's hiding behind confidentiality since it was so long ago, all that stuff is probably irrelevant at this point. It's already taken place.
Let me start out by saying that obviously, like you guys, I have no idea whether or not this took place or not. Okay, I don't know whether he's guilty or innocent. But to JD's point, bringing up the fact that we're talking about something from 27 years ago, it's not like Joe Biden, okay, it just came into public life. Joe Biden has been the vice president of the United States. He was the vice president of the United States for 8 years. He was a U.S. senator for years.
And now all of a sudden, a 30-plus year politician.
Let me make my point, JD. He's running for president now. against Donald Trump, okay, in 2020. And now, as Brian Shapiro just pointed out, Brian, on the show, it's been one person that's come out and said accused Joe Biden of sexual misconduct / sexual assault or some type of sexual, situation that went down in 1993. Wouldn't if this was something that was actually legitimate? And by the way, you guys have left out a very important part. Her story has changed, okay? This isn't just one story from her that's come out. The details regarding this have bounced around a little bit, and we have left that out of the conversation here.
Yeah. All right.
All I'm trying to say, this is my only point. Okay, I'm going to make two real quick points here. One, okay, he's been in public life for years. He was the vice president for 8 years. It would have derailed the Obama-Biden administration and their run back in 2008 if she had come out back then. It would have derailed his political career without question. Okay, I'll say that, and I'm going to make this very quick point, and I want you guys to respond. All right. We have an election coming up in November between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Yep. I think it is absolutely comical on its face
that
we're gonna compare. No,
JD,
let me finish. Okay, it's comical on its face that we're going to compare Donald Trump and Joe Biden when it comes to sexual exploits with women or sexual misconduct with women. We're gonna talk about Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and we're gonna have all of a sudden we're gonna just destroy Joe Biden, but we're not gonna. Donald Trump's our president. I think that's absolutely laughable on its face, and that's all said.
I made that point already.
But also the information about Stormy Daniels and with Kavanaugh and with Karen McDougal.
Kavanaugh's Supreme Court justice. What does that have to do with the presidential race?
I'm saying you're talking about how it's timely and coincidental under the circumstances when they're about to have something big happen in their lives or monumental, like being
Kavanaugh's going to the Supreme Court,
becoming president, whether it's Donald Trump or whether it's Joe Biden or Kavanaugh going to the Supreme Court. It's time. Now, what about the call in to Larry King's show that Tara Reid's mother made? That was actually on. It was on the internet.
Yes.
After it was advertised, and then it was literally taken down off of Google Play, so you couldn't.
I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know why they did it, but I will comment on the actual call.
I actually have more to say besides that. Now, what about Nancy Pelosi? When Kavanaugh and when Trump were accused of these things, she said, you always have to listen to the accuser. You always have to have the side of the accuser. But in this case, she is basically saying, well, I don't think that Joe did it. She's basically trying to push this under the rug because she is pushing her own political interests.
Listen,
how does Mark Levin have no credibility, but Nancy Pelosi does? Or does, in your opinion, Nancy Pelosi have no credibility?
Okay. Well, you brought up a lot of things there.
I brought up 3 things.
Which one do you want me to answer?
Well, actually,
first?
I brought up 2.
Okay.
2. It's up to you.
How does Mark Levin not have credit, but Nancy Pelosi does?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking
in
me?
this situation, yes. Why is Mark Levin not credible?
Well, I'll start
why does he wear the Donald Trump knee pads, but Nancy Pelosi is doing the exact same thing, but for the Democratic Party?
I get your question.
Okay.
I will start with Mark Levin, and I'll speak to. It's not just Mark Levin. It's anybody that's a huge, staunch Trump supporter.
Okay.
And I'll say it again. If you're one of those people, and Mark Levin is absolutely one of these people, who did not go after. He doesn't go after Donald Trump for anything, by the way. And if you didn't listen to the 25-plus accusers of Donald Trump, and you didn't discuss that on your show and say they need to be heard out, but you're taking hours on end on your show talking about the Joe Biden accuser and calling Joe Biden a pedophile or calling Joe Biden a sexual assaulter, then you have zero credibility. That is my definition of zero credibility. Now, if you want to talk about Nancy Pelosi, I'm not defending her. If she's not willing to listen to this accuser, but she wants all the Donald Trump accusers heard, then that's wrong. And I think the same thing applies to her. I said it at the beginning of this segment, and I will say it again. And we will take some phone calls here at 702-257-5396. I'll say it again. If you are one of those people that is a staunch Donald Trump supporter, for whatever reason, and you fail to criticize the president or bring up any validity to the fact that he has a history of saying horrendous things about women, about their looks, grab him by the you-know-what. He's bragged about sexual assault, his ex-wives, his infidelity, and the 25-plus women that have accused him of sexual assault, some who have actually accused him of rape. You've never brought that up. You've thrown it to the side, and now all of a sudden, one woman comes forward, whether she's telling the truth or not, and you want to make a big deal about it, whether it's on your radio show, whether it's in your writing or on Twitter, or if you're somebody on Fox News, you have zero credibility. And I'll say it again, like I said at the beginning, you need to shut the F up because you have zero, and I mean zero, credibility. So here's what we are going to do. We want to take your phone calls on this. Are you one of those people? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think it's okay to talk about Joe Biden, call him a pedophile, call him a sexual assaulter, even though you sat with your little Trump fingers and went on social media
I got to stop you.
Okay,
here, man.
well, we have to take a break.
You just called me. You just told me technically to shut the F up. I'm going to ask you to never do that ever again on this show.
Okay, well, we have to take a break.
We're going to start strong the next segment.
Well, and I will repeat what I said earlier, and I'll say it again. If you're one of those people that have never complained about Donald Trump with any of his accusers, have never talked about his womanizing, but you want to go all over Joe Biden, yes, I think you need to shut the F up. That includes anybody that has done that. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. If you want to be a part of the program, again, that number, 702-257-5396 is the number to call. What do you think about Joe Biden? What do you think about the accuser? Do you think you have a right to talk about this and defend Donald Trump for 3.5 years? Phone calls on the other side of the break, ladies and gentlemen. Take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
Update. I'm Mike Moss. Rebellion in tiny Modoc County. Officials say none of the 9,000 residents in the California community has contracted the virus, and it will go against the governor's orders and reopen. One of the big malls in the Atlanta area was supposed to reopen today, but correspondent Martin Savage says it isn't.
The Simon Property Group that oversees this particular mall here said it was going to open today. Then late last night, they put out a notice saying, no, it wasn't. This actually is the owner of some of the most malls in the country, and they had at least delayed their openings until now, this case, Monday. They didn't say why. Could be that stores weren't ready. The question is the public ready to spend money, especially when many people are finding it very hard in this economy to get by at all?
The nation's largest grocery chain, Kroger, has begun to impose limits on ground beef and pork. I'm Mike Moss. A denial from Joe Biden today of charges of sexual assault made by a former staffer, categorically denying the allegation on MSNBC.
They should start off with the presumption they're telling the truth. Then you have to look at the circumstances and facts. And the facts in this case do not exist. They never happened. And there's so many inconsistencies in what has been said in this case. So you just look at the facts.
The head of the World Health Organization says the pandemic is clearly still a problem for a health emergency worldwide and is of particular concern as it spreads more widely in countries with weaker healthcare systems. Governor Andrew Cuomo says New York schools and colleges will remain closed through the rest of the academic year. The order applies to 4.2 million students statewide. On Wall Street, stocks are down, the Dow down by almost 600 points. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by CVS. A crash still active reported on Rainbow Boulevard northbound, north of Charleston. Avoid delays, take an alternate like Buffalo or Torrey Pines. And road work continues on Craig Road eastbound near Lamb Boulevard. 2 right lanes blocked between Lamb and Copper Sage Street. That is ongoing until May 8th. Also road work in effect 95 northbound Ann Road. The on-ramp from Ann is closed until tomorrow morning. Get free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and store essentials from CVS. Visit online or call your local CVS to learn more. Restrictions apply. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
Now more than ever, we need companies that have our back. Homey just launched in Las Vegas and is already saving us thousands in real estate fees, and now they're helping our community in partnership with United Way of Southern Nevada. For each home bought or sold with Homey, they are donating $500 to the United Way to provide rent and mortgage assistance. And if you have to sell your home because of COVID-19, Homey will rebate their $2,500 listing fee back to you. Text JD to 88588 to buy or sell with Homey. Homey really does have our back.
Don't miss the Trading Group Show, Sundays at noon on KDWN. Learn how you can earn a full-time income working from home as a trader. That's the Trading Group Show, Sundays at noon. The question line is 888-646-8787.
This is Lorraine Hunt Bono, inviting you to tune in for Breaking Bread with Bono.
Join my husband, Dennis Bono, as celebrities share with him their intimate and humorous stories. Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m., right here on KDARN.
These are unprecedented times, which are causing a lot of stress and financial worry for millions of Americans. But here's some good news. If you owe back taxes to the IRS, Optima Tax Relief can reduce the stress in your life by helping you resolve your tax debt right from the safety of your own home. Make no mistake, you don't want to owe the IRS right now. They can take your paycheck and everything you work so hard for. But with Optima on your side, you may qualify for help that saves you thousands. Their tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks the IRS has ever offered. Optima is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau and has resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for taxpayers across the nation. So now's the time. For tax help you need, for tax help you trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-709-6011. That's 800-709-6011. 800-709-6011.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDARN, the talk of Las Vegas.
The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, broadcasting live at you on a Friday, ladies and gentlemen. Some great guests, by the way, coming up in hour number 3. Bill Laimbeer, Las Vegas Aces head coach, of course, Detroit Piston world champion. And Joseph Ganascoli, if you don't know who he is, he's Vito from The Sopranos. He's doing some great things to help people during the coronavirus. So that'll be coming up in hour number 3. We've been talking about Joe Biden. We've been talking about this woman who came forward, claims in 1993 that Joe Biden sexually assaulted her. Obviously, you got to be one of those people where the sexual assault bothers you or it doesn't. Obviously, it bothers me. But the only point that I'm trying to make is you have to be consistent on this. Women deserve to be heard. There needs to be an investigation. We need to find out if it happened or not. And you may never find out, by the way. Let's be honest about it. But if for years, the last 3 or 4 years, if you didn't complain about Donald Trump and his womanizing, if you didn't complain about the 25 women that came forward, if you didn't complain about the Stormy Daniels situation or the fact that Donald Trump attacks women on looks, seems like on a weekly basis, then you have zero credibility and you shouldn't be talking about this. But we'll take your phone calls and let's see what you guys think. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's start off with Jimmy. Jimmy, you're first up in the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Jimmy?
How you doing? Listen, I'm glad we can finally talk about Joe Biden because you stifled my First Amendment rights when the first couple of times.
No, hold on a second. Now we're gonna discuss that. I didn't stifle your First Amendment rights. See, Jimmy, there's something in the world of radio called staying on topic. When a caller calls in, you talk about the stuff that you can laugh all you want to, like an idiot, but you don't talk about. You don't. Excuse me. No, let me finish. You don't talk about Joe Biden when we're talking about.
For a laugh.
Excuse me.
You
just said I stifled his First Amendment rights. That's an idiot.
No.
When we're talking
you call
about
him idiot because he laughed.
Okay. Excuse me. When we're talking about another subject, you don't have the First Amendment right to call into the show. We don't even have to take your call. It's not your right. It's a privilege. And if you're not on topic, we will hang up on you. That has nothing to do with your First Amendment right. Now, Jimmy, I will allow you to make your point. Do you understand what I just said? Does that make any sense to you at all?
That makes a lot of sense. You make a lot of sense.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Jimmy. Now, would you like to make your stupid point on Joe Biden, or can I take the next caller? It's up to you.
Yeah, I think he's just as guilty. I think Biden is guilty, and I think that
he's just as guilty as Trump. Is that what you were trying to say?
I think they're both guilty.
Okay. Okay.
You know what? We all knew about Trump leading into the election, and he got elected.
Yeah, and keep in mind, everything Trump did was before he was in any type of elected office. Whereas in this case, Joe Biden was already in elected office. It's kind of like the Mark Sanford situation with Trump. It's the exact same argument.
All right, Jimmy, I apologize, but I'm going to take your First Amendment rights away. Thank you so much for calling in.
Good call, Jimmy.
I'm sorry. I took the mic from you, Chris, but I got to weigh in because this is one of my biggest pet peeves. Hear me, if people of Vegas, and hear me well. This is a fact. First Amendment applies to government actions, okay? The government cannot take away your First Amendment right to speech. Calling into a radio station is a privilege. Yeah. We decide if you go on the air or not. The First Amendment applies to the government.
Yeah.
End of story.
Hence, by the way, and JD, hence
for all those people who think we're infringing on freedom of speech because we won't let you on the air.
JD, hence the idiot comments.
By that logic, we would have to have every single caller on the air whenever they're calling, and we couldn't have busy lines.
Well, hence the idiot comment. 257-5396. Let's go to Malik. Malik, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Malik?
Yeah, what's up, fellas? I'm home chilling, watching you guys on YouTube. It's cool.
I like
Thank
it.
you.
So what I want to say is this. Joe Biden's been vetted, man, for years. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He was the first. Not only was he a senator since he's been 29 years old, he's been vetted as a vice president. You think the President Obama would have not vetted Joe Biden? Joe Biden's, come on. So, first of all, this is a distraction. And JD, guys like JD and Mark Levin and Sean Hannity, the Donald Trump knee pad wearing.
No, I'm not. I am not a Donald Trump knee pad wearing MFer. That is.
Oh, here we go.
That is not me in this situation.
That one girl, if you want to give, look, it's not. It's like Brian said, we won't prove it. Let's try to prove it. But let's say, I'll take Joe Biden and one sexual assault over Trump with 25. We know 25 at least sexual assaults and possible rapes. So I'll still take Joe Biden over to stick me in my arm with a disinfectant.
Right. As long as the media is reporting it equally on both sides, which they are not, I'm fine with you saying that. The problem is the media has destroyed Donald Trump, and they are going out of their way not to talk about Joe Biden's situation. And there's a reason for that. There's a political.
What are you talking about?
There's a political bias.
Yeah,
finally.
What do you mean finally?
After 3 weeks,
talking about it.
Not barely.
What are you talking about?
They've barely discussed it. Nancy Pelosi finally made a statement. She said, "I am satisfied with his response." Right. That's what she finally said. But a lot of the media has been trying to push this under the rug. It's been a thing for quite some time. And after the interview that her mother called into Larry King, and that was just taken down. Yeah, I realize he's been vetted for years, but also he was in office when this took place. Donald Trump was a civilian when this supposedly took place. Totally different conversation in that regard.
No, I disagree.
How is that not?
Sexual assault is sexual assault, whether you were a politician at the time or whether you were a citizen.
Okay. It doesn't matter when he did it.
Which sexual assault are you discussing specifically?
No, but you said
give me one woman who was accused Donald Trump of sexual assault.
You're talking about time frames,
No,
I am. Yeah, but I'm asking you that.
Let me respond to that.
Yeah, time frames.
It makes absolutely no difference.
No, give me one. Give me one name.
You're not letting
me finish. Can't give me one, can you? You can't give me one, can you?
The argument you are making.
I'm doing what you're doing, Brian.
Ridiculous.
No, I'm not putting you on the spot without you knowing it.
I don't make ridiculous points.
No, I'm saying.
What does it matter?
Hold on a second. Give me one person.
Hold on a second.
Give me one person.
Let me know
who has accused Donald Trump of sexual assault.
It doesn't matter whether he did it 3 years ago or 30 years ago. A rapist is a rapist. Hold on, let me finish. You think Let me finish. You think a woman cares whether she was raped, whether someone was in office or out of office? It doesn't matter.
Again, I'm asking
and it's disgraceful for you to make that statement.
It's not disgraceful.
Yes,
Brian.
it is.
Give me one woman.
I don't know.
You don't know any. You don't know one woman. You know there's 25, but you can't name one.
What are you talking about? What are you asking me?
Name one woman.
What are you asking me?
Who is accused Donald Trump of sexual assault?
JD, it's not a point, though. It doesn't. We don't have to
understand
name
what you're
names right
saying.
now. It's been documented that there are over 25
Do you want me to go online and name every woman?
I guess we jump on the web right now and name the names, but who cares?
And why have none of those gone anywhere?
There's a number of reasons.
Why?
There's a number of reasons.
Were they each paid off $2 million apiece?
Look. There could be a plethora of reasons, JD. That's not necessarily the point.
Because the Stormy Daniels situation, that was not sexual assault. That was consensual.
JD,
was he married?
JD,
was
I'm not talking about
his
Stormy
wife
Daniels right
pregnant?
now.
Yeah, no. Now you're talking about something totally different.
There's one name. He brought up one name.
Yeah.
Stormy Daniels.
That wasn't sexual assault, Chris.
JD, if I
different
can,
circumstances.
if I can respond,
totally different circumstances.
guys. If I can respond now,
You're
there
asking
are
for a name.
25 women.
I'm asking for one name.
Okay,
Yeah.
there are 25 women
Okay.
that have accused, plus 25 that have accused Trump of sexual assault. If you'd like me to do a Google search and list every name for you, if that'll make you feel better, I could do that. It's bad. Let me finish.
Obviously, that's bad radio.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when it happened. The fact of the matter that I am trying to say, and what that last caller was trying to say is, you have 25 women that have accused Trump. Okay, you have one woman that have accused. But listen, one woman is one too many. If it's true, which we don't know. The point I'm trying to make is, don't try to talk about Biden and call him a sexual assaulter if you have not been consistent and you have not called out Trump for the same thing.
Again, we don't know. Like I understand consistency on the Stormy Daniels situation.
Not talking about Stormy Daniels.
Exactly. We're talking about sexual assault, but you have nothing backing up. You just said, 25.
Okay,
I want 25, but you don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I do. You want one?
Name one.
I'll name one. The woman that was on the plane with the short haircut. Remember the older woman that was on the airplane with the short haircut?
The New York
rider. They were in first class.
And where did that go?
That's one person.
And where did that go?
Well, look, we're not going to talk about all the details of the case.
You think that Donald Trump actually committed sexual assault, considering how much the media has gone after that something wouldn't go somewhere?
You can only do so much, JD. I can only give you so much. I can't go down the list of.
I want to know one person.
It's not an argument to make. I don't understand why
that has accused Donald Trump of sexual assault, and where the case has, where the situation has gone anywhere.
So are you insinuating they didn't happen at all, or that they're not credible whatsoever? Is that what you're trying to insinuate?
I'm saying why did it not go anywhere? What happened with it? Were they paid off?
It could have been that. It could have been
sexual assault. Sexual assault is a very, very big deal.
Since JD wanted me to do this, and he's mentioning again a woman by the name of
the woman.
Excuse me.
The one I'm talking about.
Let me just talk for 10 seconds if I can between the two of you. A woman by the name of Jessica Leeds says that Trump reached his hand up her skirt and groped her while seated next to her in a flight in the 1970s. She actually has made a number of interviews, done a number of interviews.
Where did that go?
She's you keep now. So now the argument is, where did it go? What are you talking about?
What happened with it?
Goalpost, JD.
What are you saying?
I am not moving the goalpost. Where did it go? What happened?
Where is this allegation going to go? What happened with that?
Where did that go? I'm asking you.
What is because there weren't any convictions?
You don't think that considering what's been happening with Donald Trump and the media, that if this stuff was actually real, if this actually happened, that it wouldn't go somewhere?
So Joe Biden didn't do it then either, right? Joe Biden's not going to face any consequences.
Joe Biden won't let you look at his Delaware documents, and the interview is taking off.
Okay, so it's credible Joe Biden.
From Tara Reid's mother, who called in to the Kid's show. That interview is taken down.
Here's where this one. A woman by the name of Ivana Trump. You might know who she is. She was married to Donald Trump.
Okay.
She claimed in a divorce deposition in 1990 that the mother of his 3 eldest children accused her husband then of raping her in a rage in 1989. Now, she received a lot of money from Donald Trump. This was disclosed in court, and something did happen from that. She got more money. She got a settlement.
Are you talking about his wife?
Yes.
You're saying
his
that
ex-wife.
You're saying that his wife said that he raped her?
Yep. In 1989. And by the way, there's court documents. You could Google it just like I did.
He's not saying that. Yeah. He's reading that.
I'm reading it. I'm not saying it. Now, I could name you 23 more just like that, but I just wanted to give you a couple of examples of how that did absolutely nothing for this argument except prove that, I could have done it, and I just did it, but it means nothing to this discussion, which is this. If you're one of those, I keep saying this. I don't know why you don't understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
If you're
exactly
one of those people
Brian.
that is going after Joe Biden but kept silent all these years with Trump, you have no credibility.
And I'm saying the exact same thing. If you went after Donald Trump and you're not going after Joe Biden, you again
I just discussed it.
Have no credibility.
You're
not going after him. You're not going after him.
We just did a whole
You're not
segment
calling him
on
a
it.
rapist.
Excuse me. Have I ever called Trump a rapist? Have I ever said that he's a sexual assaulter? I said he bragged about sexual assault. Did I ever once, in the 2 years I've done a show with you, call him a rapist?
And again,
call him a pedophile?
I wasn't talking about. I'm talking about Nancy Pelosi. I'm talking about me. No, you thought I was talking about you because you want me to be talking about you. I was talking about Nancy Pelosi and the left and the left wing media, Brian.
All right. Well, just for the record, I haven't done that.
I'm saying they're attacking. Right. They attacked Donald Trump relentlessly, but they're not doing the same thing to Joe Biden.
Okay. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
You're wrong because actually, Chris Hayes.
They're now starting to.
Excuse me.
Finally, after Donald Trump Jr. went crazy on Twitter.
If you were following social media yesterday, or if you were watching MSNBC, guess what was trending yesterday on MSNBC? Hashtag fire Chris Hayes. Do you know why that was trending? Because Chris Hayes did a lot of coverage of the Joe Biden situation yesterday.
And
in fact,
you know what else is trending? I believe Biden.
Fine.
Believe Biden. Believe in Biden.
Okay, we got to take some more phone calls. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number is 257-5396. Ira, you're next up in the Vegas take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ira?
All right, you got to turn your radio down, my friend, if you want to be a part of this conversation. All right, we'll put him on hold. We'll get to the next caller. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Who do we have next? Who's the next caller? Let's go to Tim. Tim, you're next up in the Vegas take. What's going on?
What's up, Tim?
Hey, guys, what's happening?
Not much. What's on your mind?
Hey, so first off, good job, JD. You gave Brian a taste of his own medicine.
What are you talking about? what are you talking?
I can appreciate that.
You're always wanting to pot everybody down and just make sure they don't say anything until you get your answer. It's cool, though. I understand.
I don't know what you're talking about. He just said I could. He told me to list and name names, and I named a few. I don't know. All right, go ahead, Tim.
You give someone a topic, and if they don't answer it on the spot in 2 seconds, you call them a moron. And I did that to you.
Go ahead,
That's
Tim.
what
Well, I did. I answered it in 10 seconds.
Check everybody off opinion.
Well, he just fact checked me, and then I did a Google search, and I gave him a couple names. So go ahead, Tim.
Listen, I'm just saying, good job, JD. That's all. Just
Okay.
taste your own medicine, and you kind of buckled a little.
I can appreciate that.
I buckled. What do you mean I buckled? I just did a Google search. Wait, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Tim, you're poking the bear, bro. You're poking the bear, my friend.
Tim, your definition.
I'm a huge
hold
fan
on.
of
No. You listen. Well, I'll let you because you haven't made one yet. But what the definition of buckling is in 10 seconds doing a Google search and answering a question. That's your definition of buckling? I think not. Buckle your seatbelt. Go ahead and make your point. Go ahead, Tim.
I'll change that to rattled. Anyway, so
you're rattling me. I agree with that.
Right, Brian. I'll give you you're correct on the consistency. So when you take a Joe Biden that has been accused and it's just like still calm water, nobody's really ruffled anything up, nobody's really got everything shook up. But I'll tell you what, man, if Donald Trump farts, it's oh my God, the whole world has to know. And
give me a specific example. All right, so give me a specific example, Tim, of Donald Trump not farting, but Donald Trump doing something that you think the media should not have covered. Give me a specific example of how the media overblown something recently in this coronavirus in the last 2 months, and I'll gladly discuss that with you. Maybe I'll agree with you. Give me a specific example of somebody doing that in the last couple months.
So it's not necessarily any specific one thing. It's the tone of Donald Trump that he carries. So anything he does, and pardon my other analogy, but anything he does in media or out of media or the things he says, it's always, not always, because I know you're going to waste me on that, but it's twisted. And it's put into a content where everybody wants to blow it up and make it just so much worse.
All right, well, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example, and let's see what your opinion is on that. When he brought up injecting yourself with disinfectant, there are some people on the right that are Trump supporters that think that the media blew it up, even though there are some people that have died from it. Do you think that the media overblew that whole thing?
I do a little bit, because I can't really think a businessman like Trump or president, he's not a dumb person. Overall.
Then let me ask you a question. Then you don't think it's all right? Well, you kind of did. You said that's good, but go ahead.
Well, he's not a dumb person. So what I'm saying is, I don't feel that he really intended that you could take Clorox bleach or whatever.
Then why did he bring it up and have it? Then why did he bring it up and have a dialogue with the doctors? And then a day later said that he was being sarcastic and lied about it. If he's a smart person and he knows that millions and millions of people, just hear me out here, are watching these press conferences, which they are, people that are concerned. Sadly, some of these people watching these press conferences are stupid. They're stupid people across America, both on the right and the left. Why would he even bring that up, knowing that if he was smart, he would know there's a possibility that some people might take him for every word he says and inject themselves with Lysol? If he was so smart, then why would he do that?
No, you're right. You're 100% right. I don't think he should have said that at all. I think that was a dumb thing to do. He is a smart guy. We all make mistakes. He needs to be more reserved in the things he blurts out of his mouth.
Well, we agree.
That ship has sailed, my friend. That as we want to use analogies, the horse is out of the barn on that one.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate.
What I'm saying is when he says things like that, it's like I can only imagine his staff is going, "Oh my God, dude, what you just said."
Here's the difference, though, between you.
Back to the point of Biden is he's He's not getting the heat that Trump would for the same.
Exactly.
Because
here's Captain. Let me play Captain Obvious for you guys.
That's my entire point, and they're trying to make the argument. Well, because he doesn't have the track record that Trump does. It doesn't matter if you commit sexual assault as an elected official.
Look,
it is going to be worse, legally than a sexual assault for someone that is not an elected official.
Let me play Captain Obvious, JD, to you and to Brian and to Tim, the caller. He's the president of the United States.
Yep.
That's why it's getting covered. That's why, Tim, all these topics, whether it's about COVID-19, whether it's about sexual assault, whether it's about the things he says,
and Joe
he's
Biden
the president.
Can be the president.
Yes.
All right, let's get back to the phone calls.
There's two people in the country.
Let's get back to the phone
can be
calls.
the president starting in February 2021, and Joe Biden and Donald Trump are those two people.
Let's get back to the phone calls.
On the same plane.
I will also say that Donald Trump bragged about sexual assault. There's audio of that, and he has 25 plus women where Biden has one. There's also a track record there. But let's get back to the phone calls. 702-257-5396. John, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, John?
Hey, man, let's play a little game.
All right, I'm ready.
Who said this? Joe or Dawn? Ready? Here we go.
Let's do it.
I better use some Tic Tacs just in case I start kissing her. You know, I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. Just kiss. I don't even wait. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the kitty cat, you can do anything.
I believe that was Bloomberg.
I think that's the occupant of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I mean, the hyper hypocrisy of these conservatives trying to. I have 4 simple words for you guys. Bring it on, baby. Because we can play this game as long as you want. We want to talk about subpoenas and who cooperated with subpoenas versus the University of Delaware tapes. Let's go there. You want to talk about tax returns? Let's go. Bring it on.
Well, John, I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you on this. And that's why I'm saying those who are going after Biden but kept silent with Trump, all these years have zero credibility. I agree with you. The only point I was trying to make with the Delaware thing is I don't think Joe Biden did himself any favors. I didn't like the way he answered that question. That's all.
Considering he can't finish a sentence, he typically does not.
I'd rather somebody not.
Brian, he actually fell asleep at an interview with Hillary Clinton.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't.
He did.
Again, that's a right-wing talking point. You're getting that from right. I saw the video.
I watched it.
Fall asleep.
He was asleep.
His head was down.
He was asleep for at least 40 seconds.
No, he wasn't.
He got started when he woke up.
So you want to talk about sexual assault?
He didn't know where he was.
And then you want to talk
He's
about
like 3.5 years older than Donald Trump.
What I want to talk
Why
about.
are we even talking
what
about
I want
this?
to talk about is how he doesn't do himself.
So ridiculous.
He never does himself favors, anyways. Besides that MSNBC.
All right, what are we taking another phone call here? Who's next on the line? 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Mike. Mike, you're next up. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Mike?
Hey guys, hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
There, Mike.
Yeah, this is funny to me because I think that has the hallmarks of the Clintons written all over it. This is if you don't think this is a Clinton tactic, and this is all the fingerprints of the Clintons with this Biden thing.
What do the Clintons have to do with this?
He's trying to say that Hillary Clinton is going to take his spot and run for president.
The whole woman coming out the woodwork.
So you think
No, he's talking about Bill Clinton and his relationships with women and how it's covered, right? That's what you're talking about?
So Bill Clinton...
Talking about this is Hillary Clinton trying to sabotage Biden.
Exactly.
This is all the hard... Look at this. Is all
right, so let me ask you a question. Because I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy. I never was, but that's fine. If you are, that's okay. Do you have one shred of evidence that would actually pinpoint Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton to this woman, Tara Reid? Do you have any evidence at all to back it? By the way, I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton.
I don't have a shred of evidence, but I'll look at the facts. I'll look at the Blasey Ford.
If you don't have evidence, then you don't have facts.
I look at similar situations with the women coming out. This is all the makings of it. The Clintons are dirty, dirty people, man.
So I'll make a bet with you right now on the radio. I'll make a bet with you right now on the radio, if I may. I will make any wager with you on the radio right now that Hillary Clinton will not be running for president of the United States in 2020, sir. So if you believe that, you'll make a bet with me on the radio right now. In fact, I'll let you fill in for me for a show. What do you think about that? No, what do you mean? That's what you're claiming, and I think you're wrong. So I will make a wager with you right now that you're wrong. Hillary Clinton has nothing to do with this, and she's not going to take Biden's spot and run for president. I'm making a bet with you right now. Put your money where your mouth is. My opinion versus your opinion. I didn't say. All right. You know what? How about I'll make another bet with you? How about if I could just finish? Nothing to do with money. You will go on the air in 2020 after the elections in November and say, Brian, I'm a buffoon. You were right. I was wrong. And then if I'm wrong, I'll do the same thing, okay? Nothing to do with money. I hope you can accept that bet.
Why you gotta hurt my feelings? Why you gotta call me?
I don't think that bothers you. I don't think that'll ruin your day, sir. I think you're a tougher guy than that. I do. I think you are. I appreciate the phone call, though. By the way, I didn't call you a buffoon. What I said was, if you lose the bet, you have to call yourself a buffoon. And if I lose the bet, I'll call myself a buffoon. That's what I said. You weren't paying attention. We're going to take more.
Did he imply you have money?
Yeah, I know. I don't know where you got that idea from. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take more of your phone calls. Also, Mike Pence maskgate. You're not going to believe what they're doing now to a reporter who is, making the case that he should have known and he should have worn a mask. We'll talk about that a little bit when we come back as well. More calls, 702-257-5396. Again, that number is 257-5396. We'll get to all your calls on the other side of the break. You're listening to the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
We got to make sure that we get this going.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Are you looking for smoke-free housing? Visit gethealthyclarkcounty.org for a list of 50,000 smoke-free units available.
While you can't believe everything on social media these days, you can believe it's possible to start a new life as an IT pro in as little as 4 months from the comfort of your own home, even if you have zero computer experience. Instead of waiting to see what happens when life gets back to normal, take control of your future now. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Live online classes meet just twice a week. It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
States are partially reopening starting today. Oklahoma City Mayor David Holt says it's possible to avoid a second spike in cases.
Just because things are opening, yes, there is more potential for spread. But if each of us makes individual decisions through the course of our day to keep our distance, to wash our hands, and to wear a mask, we do not necessarily have to see an increase in cases and in deaths. I really think that is avoidable.
The head of the British National Health Service says evidence emerges of a virus transmission from children showing those signs of symptoms. President Trump tells the Dan Bongino show in Westwood One he wants a payroll tax cut in the next relief bill.
I think the payroll tax cut is really precision. It's like scalpel laden. And I would like to see that.
On Wall Street, stocks are down sharply. The Dow off about 600 points, 2.5 points, 2.5%.
We've had our lunch. It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner and Rowe Traffic Studio.
This report is sponsored by CBS. A crash reported Charleston west of Maryland Parkway still active. Avoid slowing. Use an alternate like Sahara or St. Louis. Also an accident on Rainbow Boulevard northbound north of Charleston, blocking the right lane with emergency crews at the scene. Take an alternate like Buffalo or Torrey Pines instead. And also an accident reported Tropicana at Arville. Watch for fire crews that are responding to the scene. Get free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and store essentials from CVS. Visit them online or call your local CVS to learn more. Restrictions apply. I'm John Michaels from the KDAWN Traffic Center.
Listen to the Texas Corners Bible Church every Saturday night at 11 p.m. and Sunday night at 10 p.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDAWN.
Hi, it's Alan Masters. Join me and my brother David for Advice Line, 10 to midnight, Monday through Friday on 720 KDAWN and 101.5 FM. That's Advice Line, America's live radio counseling program. If you've got problems, we've got answers. Monday through Friday, 10 to midnight.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for all the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Eye on Washington with Marilee Joyce, taking Nevadans to Capitol Hill for the latest on the federal issues that matter most to you.
Eye on Washington, Saturday morning at 9:30 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
V is for victory, except on Saturdays when V is for veterans. That's Veterans Talk, The Forgotten Promise, Join us every Saturday from noon to 1.
Veterans Talk every Saturday at noon on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN. Travis Scribner, managing partner of Westpac Wealth Partners, interviews some of the most successful business owners for insight into what makes both them and their business run. Tune in every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, or podcasts on iTunes.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, glad you could join us on a Friday. Promised you I would get back to the phone calls. Quick update, though. We're talking about Joe Biden. We're talking about the woman who alleges sexual assault back in '93. Her name is Tara Reid. Not the horrible actress Tara Reid, by the way, who's hot.
You don't think she's a good actress?
No, I don't.
American Pie is a classic. Come on,
she's
man.
She's very pretty. I'm sure
Good
she's a very
flick.
nice lady, but we're talking about another Tara Reid.
Okay.
And my opinion is if you're one of those people that has been silent when it came to Donald Trump and the way he's treated women over the years, but now all of a sudden you want to hear this woman, Tara Reid, you have zero credibility. What do you guys think? 257-5396. Why don't we go to Matt? Matt, you are next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Shapiro, it's me. It's the Matt.
Okay,
Hey,
I don't know what that.
got through.
I
How
don't.
you doing,
I
buddy?
don't know what that means. But what's your point, Matt? What do you want to
What's
talk
up,
about?
Matt? How you doing?
You're talking about Joe Biden and all this, but I just want to go to Brett Kavanaugh, like what they did to this poor guy.
We're not talking about Brett Kavanaugh. We're talking about Joe Biden.
It relates to Joe Biden.
It absolutely.
Everything you're talking about.
How does
hypocrisy of it all?
How does Brett Kavanaugh relate to Joe Biden? Please explain.
Because what you're saying, these allegations against Biden, like all of a sudden the media, the Democrats, the CNN, MSNBC, they're all behind Biden.
Not true. Okay, Matt. Obviously, Matt. Okay, Matt, hang on. Obviously, you don't know what you're talking about. First of all, we played. Well, how about be quiet and listen and be educated for 20 seconds? Mika Brzezinski did an interview with Joe Biden this morning on MSNBC, where she. Excuse me. Let me finish. She grilled him yesterday. All the liberals were going after MSNBC because another host went after Joe Biden and was talking about the case. So the fact that you just said that all these networks are pro-Joe Biden when Mika Brzezinski killed him, and by the way, I criticized Joe Biden, if you were listening to the show earlier in the show, because I don't think he answered some of the questions as well as he should have, and we talked about that. So you're off to a bad start. What other ridiculous points would you like to make?
I think you're actually doing very, very well, Matt. Keep it up.
He's doing very well.
Keep up the good work.
Joe Biden, for one, he can't even finish a sentence.
What does that have to do with sexual assault? What does not finishing a sentence have to do with sexual assault? Well, please do, because we have other callers and you're not special. Go ahead.
But you talk about MSNBC and all that, like Kristen Gillibrand, which she did to Brett Kavanaugh. And
here you go with Brett Kavanaugh again.
All of a sudden, everywhere defending Joe Biden. MSNBC called Brett Kavanaugh.
All right. Well, let me ask you a very simple question. Okay. Let me ask you a very simple question. What do you think about the 25-plus women that have alleged that Donald Trump have sexually assaulted them, some of whom they claim he raped them? What do you think about him bragging about sexual assault, grab him by the P word? What do you think about Donald Trump's ex-wife in 1989 saying that he raped her in a court deposition? Are you willing to talk about that?
Okay, as far as his ex-wife goes, I don't really know.
Well, I just told you what happened.
Trump was a billionaire and a public figure.
What does a billionaire have to do with sexual assault? So that's your defense of sexual assault because he was a billionaire?
There's a point there. There's a point there.
It wasn't in a locker room.
When you're a billionaire, you're more of a target than someone who isn't.
I can't hear both of you. I'm sorry. What did you say? Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, as far as the other people, like the 25 cases.
Yeah.
He would have been sued and charged. If this were true.
So what about Bill? Hold on a second. Excuse me. He would have been, okay, let's go with that. He would have been sued or charged for all the years that Bill, excuse me, how about Bill Cosby? I know he's in jail right now, but for how many, excuse me, let me finish my point. For decades, Bill Cosby was an actor, a comedian, and never charged with anything. So your premise makes absolutely zero sense. No, it's not okay. You're saying idiotic things. Go ahead.
Everything is like every case is different, Brian.
Every case is different. So that's your point. So that's the point. Well, you know what? Every caller is different. You're right, and I'd like to get to the next caller. Every caller is different, and you were not one of the good ones. Let's go to another.
I think he's a very actually, Matt. I want to give you a second to promote. You and I actually are putting together a pretty major protest tomorrow. I want you to talk about that protest because it looks to me like it starts at 11.
I don't really want to talk about it. I don't really want to promote that.
I just want to promote it very briefly.
I don't.
It starts at 11 o'clock.
I don't want to promote it from the Trump rally.
It's not a Trump rally, Brian.
How many people will have Trump signs there?
It is a reopen rally. And again, it's not your place to promote it. It's our show. I'm part of it, so I'm going to promote it.
Well, I don't think it's our place for the show to promote it.
Why is it not?
Well, I think it's inappropriate.
So it's it starts at the Clark County Government Building, 500 South Grand Central Parkway, and it just travels down the strip and heads back to the same location. Again, this is for reopening Nevada. It's by the group Nevada's Against Extended Quarantine.
By the way,
which me and Matt are
how's
part.
that going to work out, by the way, since the extension's to the 15th, right, of May? So you guys are having a protest tomorrow on May 2nd.
Yeah,
how's that working out? I mean, how's that impacting what is actually going to happen as far as the state of Nevada getting shut down?
It's perfectly fine getting in your car, which this will be a totally.
Is Matt still on the line?
I think you believe. Is he? Matt, you still there?
Matt, you still there?
Okay, so I will also, since you were willing to bring up that Facebook group, I wasn't going to, but I will now. There was somebody in the Facebook group that compared Adolf Hitler to Governor Sisolak. That man who we just had on the line, his name is Matt Anthony. He's one of the moderators. He defended it. And even though he said, well, I don't necessarily agree with it, but it's a First Amendment right. He has the First Amendment right to compare Governor Sisolak as a Nazi. I think that page is disgraceful. I think the average IQ, not everybody, the average IQ of people on that Facebook group is about 25. The idiots that are on that page that make ignorant statements about Governor Sisolak on a daily basis is disgraceful. I think they're a bunch of morons. And you know what? I'm sorry, that guy we just had on the line, I think he's a complete idiot. He defended comparing Sisolak to a Nazi. The man is disgraceful.
Anyways,
he works in the nightclubs. Go back to your nightclub.
I saw you, Brian. You work in radio. Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with what I do.
Right,
but you know what?
Anyways,
I wouldn't open up a page like that.
That being said, I helped him start that page. It has 7,000 members. There are
smart members.
There are some extremists, obviously, that make posts like that. The second I saw that,
every day there's something like that.
The second I saw that, I deleted that post. Obviously, that's not an accurate association.
Well, the guy that we just had on did not.
But insulting him, I don't think is necessary. That being said, let's go to the next guy.
I will insult anybody who defends somebody comparing the governor to a Nazi and undermining the Holocaust, where 7 million Jews were murdered. You're damn right I'm going to go after somebody like that. That guy is an idiot, and he needs to do his homework on what happened in Nazi Germany. If you disagree with Sisolak's politics, that's fine. If you want to open up a page, and when you want to make your little remarks, that's fine.
He didn't defend it. He said it was their First Amendment right.
Which is, I guess it's your First Amendment right to be a racist and an idiot.
He didn't say I agree with that. I think Sisolak is a Nazi, because I obviously do not think he's a Nazi. Do I think he's a bit of a dictator? Yes.
But Trump is not.
I don't think he's a Nazi.
But Trump is not a dictator.
Trump is definitely not a dictator.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes sense. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Again, that number is 257-5396 if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. I have no idea who our next caller is. Ira? Okay, Ira, you're up next. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ira?
Hey, gentlemen, how you guys doing?
Doing great.
Just don't promote any Facebook page. That's all I ask.
Okay. Is it all right we talk about the virus, or I think it's a lot more important?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Right, so this is my opinion. When all this stuff first came out, we did the right thing by shutting everything down because we didn't know. But now we got all this information, and almost everybody says that 80% of this is for the elderly people, 65 and older. Then they said 45 and under is like 1,500 people died, and 25 and under is like 100 people died. So all they need to do is take care of all the elderly, and everybody else can go to work safely and everything like that. And I know this is not nice to say, but over 60,000 people have died. But now we got 30 million people out of work.
30 million, literally.
And
you're right. 30 million. That's the number now.
They got to do something, because you look at people protesting, not a lot, but people are protesting. But I could already see it, that if I was a married man with kids and I got no money, I'm going to go to the store and rob them. And that's what's going to happen.
Okay, so basically you're saying because you want to go back to work, and by the way, you're not
just him, it's 30 million people, Brian.
If I could just finish.
30 million people. That's 10% of the population of the country that are out of work right now.
Again, you gave me 2 seconds.
That is insanity.
Again, you gave me 2 seconds, and you just interrupted me and didn't allow me to make my point with the caller. Caller, are you still on the line? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. So basically what you're saying is if you were in that situation with a wife and kid and a family and you couldn't work, you would take it upon yourself to break the law and rob somebody because you don't agree with the governor's
No.
Is that what you're saying?
It's going to get to that point.
It's going to I know. I mean, everybody's
take care of my family, and I'm going to go to the grocery
okay.
store.
Well, guess what? The governor doesn't make decisions because there might be some buffoons out there that are going to break the law or threaten to break the law.
You didn't listen to me on that.
You're not listening to me.
People and older are the ones
Now,
that have the
that's
let me
not
chime in
true.
on that. What you're just putting.
They can't go back to work.
Hey, let me chime in on what you just put out about the elderly, and you put some numbers out as far as that. Let me tell you something. Public health experts absolutely disagree with your input there. They do not disagree with it. There's a reason why we have mitigation right now. There's a reason why there's a stay-at-home order. But he's putting out numbers, and he put out opinion right there. That's not true. It's not factual. Public health officials. Wait, he's talking about the elderly.
Chris, let's be honest. If you're 85 years old, if you're 85 years old right now, without
you're trying to make the case for him now on that, he's wrong.
No,
the caller's wrong.
Listen, Chris. If you're 85 years old right now in the United States, you have about a 10% chance of dying, no matter what, in the next year.
I get it.
If you have COVID, that goes up to about 15%. Is there a disparity there? Yes. Does the virus make you sick? Especially, does the virus kill you if you're very, very sick already? Yes. Does it affect the immunosuppressed? Yes. But is it worth unemploying 30 million people and possibly setting back the economy for X amount of years? No. And that's the conversation right now.
JD, the only point I was making is that there are public health officials that have the real numbers. That guy put forth his idea about the elderly and what we should do, and it's just wrong. It's wrong.
Fox News and Breitbart. It must have been Laura Ingraham, Breitbart, Fox News.
It was LAN.
Yeah.
The best network in the country.
Goodbye, sir.
Good call.
257-5396. Let's go to Troy. Troy, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Troy?
Hey, good morning, guys. Welcome back, JD. It's good to hear you.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in the game.
Yeah. This morning we opened up, or the show started opening up about Joe Biden, and then Brian, before you were ever to make an argument about sexual assault,
He flipped it. He flipped the script.
All Trump supporters.
Yeah.
No, first of all, let me correct you because you're wrong. We didn't open up the show with Joe Biden.
It was kind of masterful,
Excuse me. Thank you. We didn't open up the show with Joe Biden, sir. We started the show at 9 a.m. and we talked about Sisolak. So you started this phone call factually inaccurate. I'm not surprised because you're a Trump supporter. Number two, excuse me. Here's the point that I made. And I'll say it again to get it through your head so you could listen and try to understand this. Because the people out there that have been silent when it comes to Donald Trump for 3.5 years, for 4 years, with the 25 women that have come forward, with bragging about, excuse me, let me finish I didn't say you were. If you could let me finish my statement, what I said was those people have zero credibility if all of a sudden now you're going after Joe Biden. That's all I said. I don't know whether Joe Biden committed a sexual assault. By the way, I've never called Donald Trump a sexual assaulter. I've called him a womanizer, infidelity. I've never called him a rapist because I don't know if that's true or not. Just like I don't know if Joe Biden committed this assault. All I'm saying is you don't have any credibility if you're going after Biden now, but never went after Trump. That's the only point I made, sir, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
And so the point that I'm trying to make is sexual assault is wrong.
I agree.
No matter what.
I agree.
No matter if I'm a stupid Trump supporter.
Did I say sexual assault was okay? Did I ever say that?
No, you said if sexual assault, oh my gosh, a Trump guy didn't do this or didn't do that.
Nope, that's not what I said. You're making absolutely no sense. I just stated my opinion very clearly.
I'm not deaf yet.
I just stated my opinion very clearly.
A straw man.
What are you talking about? What did I say specifically that you just... What did I say okay, you can use your ad hominem all you want. I'll ask you again. What did I say specifically that you disagree with? Stop putting words in my mouth. I told you my opinion. What have I said?
All all Trump supporters are idiots.
Didn't say all Trump supporters. See, you see how this guy, goodbye with this guy.
He didn't say that.
Goodbye with this guy.
He said,
We've never said all of them are anything.
Anyone who was attacking Biden who did not attack Trump has no
credibility.
No, not just but no effing credibility.
Yes.
No
Okay.
effing
Okay.
And
I'm right.
That's a very important word.
What I didn't say was that all Trump supporters are idiots. So this guy calls in, has no idea what he's talking about, and
that was incorrect.
What a shocker!
Hey,
he was incorrect with everything.
That was a good call.
Yeah, it was a great call. Even though he didn't make one factual fact in that entire phone call.
No, he did. He
didn't.
said that I'm back in the game, and that's a fact.
Okay. Well, you are. You are. 257-5 for now. 257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to David. David, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, David?
David, go ahead. 257-5396 is the number to call. Carlos, you're up next. What's going on?
Hey, Carlos.
Yeah, I think they should have Kavanaugh-type hearings, just to be fair, instead of those wussy interviews on MSNBC and CNN. And Tara Reid, she's a Biden supporter, actually, and a Democrat.
You thought Mika Brzezinski, hold on a second, you thought Mika Brzezinski this morning did a whiffy interview with Joe Biden?
I think they both were. They should string them up.
Well, then you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about, because she held his head to the fire, and you need to go back and watch. I don't even think you watched the interview, because if you did, you would notice that she grilled him on the fact that he won't allow these Delaware records to be put forth. And I said on the show that it made him look very bad. It made him sound guilty the way he answered those questions.
He always says, "Come on, man." She said that in
So, Brian, pose him the magic question, Brian. Pose him the question that you've asked all these other callers.
Yeah. What do you think about Donald Trump and the 25 women that have come forward and him bragging about sexual assault? Do you think that he should be grilled in a Kavanaugh-type hearing?
Yeah, if they bring it up, yeah.
Well, what do you mean? It's been brought up for 3.5 years by every Democrat, not many Republicans because they don't want to talk about it. But Donald Trump, 25-plus women, I haven't heard you call in and ever talk about that before. Why is that? Yeah, well, I know, because you wear Donald Trump knee pads. That's why.
I'll tell you what, because we've never actually discussed it. We discussed Stormy Daniels much more than we discussed
Stormy Daniels was not about sexual assault.
Exactly, so we haven't talked about it.
The reason why
we talked about that woman in New York who had like the fashion line. We talked about her for maybe 10 minutes one time, but we never really talked about Donald Trump.
Stormy Daniels
and sexual
is
assault.
a completely different situation. We talked about possible campaign finance laws, and the fact that he lied about it, and from an ethical standpoint.
And we know his attorney, or we know her attorney very well.
And from an ethical standpoint, when the first lady has a child, and then a month or two after that, the president cheats on her with a porn star, I think it's relevant.
Totally different than sexual assault.
Well, I agree. You're the one that brought it up, not me. 257-5396. Let's go to Paul. Paul, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Hi, hey, how you doing?
Good. What's on your mind, man?
Quick question, Brian. What do you make of her mother going on Larry King?
Well, I think it certainly helps her case. I did listen to that phone call, and I think it was pretty telling. My understanding, sir, correct me if I'm wrong, but her mother's passed away, sadly. I wish her mother was still around to talk about it. But certainly I think it brings a little bit of credibility. There's no question about that, but I've been very...
I would say that takes a lot of credibility.
Well, here's the only problem, though. And again, Paul, the truth of the matter is, I don't know if he committed sexual assault or not. Here's what I do know. She deserves to be heard out. There needs to be an investigation. With that being said, he's never been accused of sexual assault before in his life, and Donald Trump has a lifelong history of accusations. So I think if you want this investigation to go forward with Biden, you should probably want all those other Trump girls that have accused him of sexual assault. You should want investigations with that as well. That's all.
Brian, why in every subject you have to bring up Donald Trump?
Because, well, here's why. First of all,
let me finish. The hate that you have for Donald Trump consumes you.
Okay, first of all, okay, well,
it does.
Okay,
first of all,
okay, so let me respond to that. First of all, I'm not a Democrat, so you can pin me in a corner and call me what you like.
There is no one that listens to this show that doesn't think you're a Democrat at this point,
if I could just finish.
No one.
I don't care. I don't care what some of
the
people in your group think. I don't care.
Just because you didn't vote Democratic,
That's fine.
You are a Democrat.
Okay, if you want, I know you don't want me to label you, so please don't label me.
I'm a Democrat.
Okay? So let me go back to this caller.
I think Brian's actually more left than you are sometimes.
Okay,
I think he's in the Pacific Ocean the last 3 weeks.
Okay, let me know when I can respond to the caller. Can I respond? Is the caller still there?
I'm listening.
Okay, so Donald Trump is something called the President of the United States. He's the leader of the free world. Now, if you like Donald Trump and you think he's great, that's fine. That's your opinion. It is my job to give you my opinions from the leader of the free world, and I criticize him for things that I think are very, very fair. First of all, I think he's a horrible human being. okay, based on the history and the way he's lived his life, and I could give you plenty of examples. I don't think I need to. And I criticize him for coronavirus response. I criticize him for the way he treats people in these press conferences. I criticize him for coming up with conspiracy theories and talking about injecting yourself with disinfectant. I criticize him. Now, Joe Biden is running for president of the United States. And the reason why I bring Donald Trump into this equation is because there's a lot of people on the right that want to hear this woman. They want her to be heard. Some are calling Joe Biden a pedophile. Some are calling him a rapist. And my response to them is very simple. Where were you when all these allegations came out when it came to Donald Trump? Where were you when Donald Trump bragged about grabbing women by the you-know-what? If you were one of those people that were silent, I don't want to hear from you. If you are one of those people...
Brian, where were you when he was smelling everyone's hair?
I think there's a fine...
Two different things.
There's a fine distinction between... Joe, excuse me. It's a fine distinction when you have a problem with Joe Biden, who might be touchy-feely and sniffs a girl's hair, to someone who brags about grabbing women by the P word.
Not just girls, young women. Young women.
Okay, so...
Guys, let me chime in on this, okay? There's a clip that runs here on KDWN every day where they're talking with this. Brian Kilmeade has a show, and they discuss this. There is a difference, okay, between Joe Biden having his nose hairs close to somebody sniffing their hair and sexual assault. These are two different things, okay? We are a civilized society, and we know a way to distinguish those.
Well, unless you're completely biased like that last caller. Let's go to Ron. Ron, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Ron?
Hey, Brian, JD. I hope I think it was your son or daughter, Brian, was telling me Thursday that didn't feel too well. I hope everything's going fine.
I don't know if JD. Yeah, I don't know if JD's daughter being sick.
I'm sorry. What?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
What'd you say, my daughter?
Anyway,
sorry, Chris was so loud I had to take my headphones off.
Brian, on Thursday when I last spoke to you, you told me to call back, but you guys put on such a good show that your lines were so busy I couldn't get in. Anyway, my point was I think the governor did good about closing the strip, but my heartache is with a couple concerns of my friends about taking the right of experimental drugs away from the people. See, some of these people are betting on a drug that's already established that so far has did good for some of the people with this disease that we're having a problem with.
Are you talking about the REMS Dimiker? Is that what it's called?
It's called remdesivir, and Fauci just touted it as even though the numbers are very similar to hydroxychloroquine and it's about 100 times more expensive. Fauci's been touting it.
Right. See, now these people, the rights taken away from them. That I disagree with him.
And he's getting sued.
Mortality rate. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, Sisolak's getting sued by a couple of doctors here in Nevada for that.
Well, 20% mortality rate is what it's at when you're on a ventilator, and you're probably.
All right. What are your thoughts on Joe Biden? Because that's obviously what we've been talking about the last hour and 15 minutes. So
my thoughts on Joe Biden is I don't know, and he deserves due process. That I have to say. That's something that they didn't give our Supreme Court pick.
That's true.
Everybody thought he was guilty. They really didn't.
Well, the problem with social media is, and the media, they can hold their own court of law and they can create guilt based on how they cover things.
But he got due process.
And that's what they did to Kavanaugh. That's what they did to Trump. And I hope the same thing is done to Joe Biden in these circumstances.
But JD, he's on the Supreme Court. He had a process that went through, and he's on the Supreme Court now. So this whole notion that he didn't get treated well, I don't understand that.
We covered
he's on the Supreme Court.
Brian and I covered it for 2 weeks. We actually we had a running joke, an I like beer running joke that we did every single day for 3 months. I mean, it was he didn't get good coverage. He was a basketball coach.
Coverage.
He was a basketball coach for his daughter's basketball team. He had to stop that. I mean, this guy was pretty much destroyed publicly.
Yeah, he did, JD, but he did get due process, and he's now on the Supreme Court. So I don't really understand the argument.
Let's take some more phone calls, 257-5396. Let's go to Kelly Ann. Your last name doesn't happen to be Conway, would it? Kelly Ann, thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Kelly Ann?
No, Kelly Ann, not Conway.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, Kelly. What's on your mind?
Brian, you really need to stop accusing Donald Trump of bragging about sexual assault.
He did, though.
He was on tape.
He did, on tape.
He did it. He was on tape.
No, what's on tape is he said, when you're rich and famous, they let you do it.
All right, yeah.
He
did imply that it was consensual. He did imply that. That's
so
true.
You think just randomly grabbing women by the P word, you're okay with that language? You're okay with what he said?
He talking more of the type of
Now, when he's saying grab him by the P word, that's a different statement that he made. It's a different sentence. I don't understand why you guys can't figure that out.
What he's actually saying is that when you're famous, it's very easy to have multiple sexual partners.
All right, so we can go down this road, Kellyanne.
That's basically what he's saying.
Kellyanne.
But he said it in the worst possible terms that I've never even heard before.
So
and I've been in a lot of
We can go back and listen to the audio.
Yeah.
We have the audio.
All right.
When you're rich and famous, they let you.
Okay, so Kellyanne, what would you say if your daughter was dating a man that spoke like that?
What am I supposed to say to that?
Well,
Men
answer.
talk, you know?
So your response would be men talk. That's your response.
You can answer it honestly.
Personally, I think you're a sexual deviant, Brian.
So I'm a sexual. What have I said that would make me a sexual deviant? I would. I don't. What would I say? What have I said? I turn everything into a. Well, you know what? Talking to you is certainly not a sexual situation. Have a nice day. 702-257-5. You notice, folks, when you're speaking to a Trump supporter, and not just a Trump supporter, but a biased Trump supporter, and you ask them a very, very simple question, such as, because she was defending Trump's comments, grab him by the P word. And I said, what would you say to your daughter if she was dating a man that spoke like that? And her response was, men talk. Make no mistake about it, Kellyanne, you are a disgrace. For you to defend that type of language and then call me a sexual deviant, you are a disgrace and you must be a horrible mother.
Brian, you have, what kind of a statement is that? That is insanity. Come on.
That's insanity?
You can't just assume that she's a horrible mother.
Well, here's why I'm going with that,
And
JD.
Brian, you do talk about sex all the time. When we have interviews with porn stars, you literally get like elated. I mean, you can actually hear it. If you can hear it.
Well, I'll tell you what.
When we talk sex or we talk to porn stars, you get like so excited, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I like talking to porn stars too.
Okay, but for the record, your wife booked porn stars on the show, not me. She booked porn stars.
Wait,
so I'm just saying.
Which one?
Your wife has booked us porn stars.
I have no problem with
before.
porn stars.
So I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I
don't either. But I'm saying Brian really gets excited when we have someone in.
He probably does.
I noticed that you dodged the
porn
Chippendales
industry.
when they came in. You didn't even show up in studio. I think you're afraid of the Chippendales. When we had the Chippendales in studio, you weren't in studio. You didn't show up.
I did go to the Chippendales show.
Yeah, but you didn't show up when they were in studio.
I actually thought was
All right,
okay.
I'm just saying that's going to be.
But I would have. I think I don't know. I had some type of thing where I couldn't be there. I don't know what it was.
All right, we got to take a break. So when we come back, Bill Laimbeer, the head coach of the Las Vegas Aces, of course, the Detroit Piston legend, will be joining us next. His thoughts on The Last Dance, Michael Jordan accusing the Detroit Pistons of, well, I mean, I guess it was Horace Grant that called the Pistons a bunch of, quote, bitches. So we will get his response to that. Coming up next, Bill Laimbeer.
We've had our lives flipped upside down recently, and for many of us, things just got a lot.
Your home for Sean Hannity. KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
These Dallas restaurant goers say they appreciate Governor Greg Abbott's decision to ease into the state's reopening and that they're glad to grab a meal out.
It's kind of weird being back around people and just like social interaction in general, you know, because it's been so long, but it feels good.
Everybody has to just take their own time and do it at their own pace.
Restaurants, retailers, and museums among the businesses that can reopen at 25% occupancy. Many businesses, though, that are able to open, staying closed for at least a little while longer. Clayton Neville, Dallas.
President Trump opposes pandemic assistance to states, telling the Dan Bongino Show on Westwood One.
They want to bail out their states. That would be New York and California and Illinois primarily, and then some others. And they're all Democrat states. You know, our states are doing great. Texas, Florida, many others.
I'm Mike Moss. Though many states are trying to reopen, Michigan is not among them. More from correspondent Jeff Zeleny.
In Michigan, it is still the number 3 state in terms of number of deaths. So that is what Governor Whitmer says that she is basing her argument on science, on common sense, she says, not on politics. So certainly it's a political moment there, but she's standing her ground.
Canadian Prime Minister Trudeau has responded to his nation's deadliest shooting rampage that killed 22 in Nova Scotia.
It is no longer permitted to buy, sell, transport, import, or use military-grade assault weapons in this country.
The gunman had several semi-automatic handguns and at least 2 semi-automatic rifles that were discovered on his possession when police finally arrested him. And on Wall Street today, stocks are down sharply. The Dow off about 650 points. That's more than 2.5%. I'm Mike Moss.
It's time to check the roads.
From the Lerner Road Traffic Studio.
This report sponsored by CVS Emergency Crews working to clear the accident on Rainbow Boulevard northbound north of Charleston. The right lane still blocked. Use an alternate like Buffalo or Torrey Pines to skirt the slowing. No other accidents to report at this time. Watch for debris reported on the highway on the 215 Southern Beltway eastbound at Decatur. Roadwork continues on Craig Road eastbound near Lamb with right lane restrictions between Lamb and Copper Sage that is ongoing until May 8th. Get free 1 to 2 day delivery of prescriptions and store essentials from CVS. Visit online or call your local CVS to learn more. Restrictions apply. I'm John Michaels from the KDON Traffic Center.
We've had our lives flipped upside down recently, and for many of us, things just got a lot rougher. But we've faced tough times before, and we're going to pull through this because, well, that's what we do in America. At Term Provider, Big Lou has a message for you. If all this craziness has you protecting the ones you care about, don't let it stop when we get through this. Keep the protection rolling with a life insurance shield around your family. For over 30 years, Term Provider has been providing affordable term life insurance at better prices and with better service, including policies that don't need an in-home exam. As for Big Lou, he's just like you, spending time at home with his kids, too. No matter what your medical history, prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or if you're taking prescription medications, at Term Provider, we can help you find $1 million or more of term life insurance at affordable rates to fit your budget. There's no obligation, so call now for your free quote. Call 800-529-2856. That's 800-529-2856. 800-529-2856.
It's open enrollment season, and Medishare is the Christian healthcare sharing ministry that saves most families about $500 a month. Google Medishare and see if it's a fit for you. Medishare, healthcare you can believe in.
This is Harry Jacobs from Credit Restoration of Nevada, inviting you to join me for the Credit Show, Saturday mornings between 9 and 10, here on the new 101.5 FM and 720 AM.
If your retirement plan is on set it and forget it, it's time to take control. Tune in for Financial Safari with America's Wealth Coach and best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda. For more than 25 years, Coach Pete has been helping people just like you plan for retirement. Join Coach Pete every week as he discusses topics like why your retirement plan should also be an income plan and how to make sure you're getting the most out of your 401k.
Financial Safari with Coach Pete, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and Sunday afternoon at 2 on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
101.5 FM, 720 AM. KDON, the talk of Las Vegas. The opinions of the hosts on KDWN are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of this station, its management, or Beasley Media Group.
Hello, everyone. This is President Trump, the greatest president in the history of presidents. And the only show I listen to is the top-rated show, Sharp and Shapiro. They are the best.
Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro on a Friday afternoon. Giving it to you live. By the way, reminder, coming up at the bottom of the hour, Vito, Joseph Ganascoli from The Sopranos, will be joining us here in a little bit. But as you know, all sports franchises are suffering. Who knows what's going to happen as far as the WNBA season goes. No NBA, no NHL, no Major League Baseball. Sports fans are suffering out there. But hopefully we'll see basketball really soon. The guy that we have with us on the line right now, always a pleasure to have him on. Not only is he a fantastic coach of the Las Vegas Aces, he's an NBA champion, of course, a four-time NBA All-Star. Boy, some great years with the Pistons, played at University of Notre Dame. Also, Palo Verde High School, not too far from here in Southern California. The legend himself, Bill Laimbeer, joining us right now on the line. Coach, we appreciate you coming on. How are you?
Well, hanging in there. Everybody else is trying to figure out what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what is a typical coronavirus, everything closed day for Bill Laimbeer? I'm just curious, like, what do you do to pass the time going through this pandemic?
Well, I have other responsibilities also. I'm also the president of the organization. So, you know, we look at, you know, everybody has to look at employees, you know, what is necessary, what is essential. You look at anywhere you can cut costs. You look at, you know, your financial projections going forward. You try to organize players around the country to, you know, understand what they're doing. and just basically talking to some of the employees that are on furlough right now, just to keep their heads up, and hopefully we have some light at the end of the tunnel coming soon.
Bill, do you think there will be a chance that a WNBA, and this might be a hard question for you to answer because I know you don't have a ton of control over this, but do you think that we could see WNBA games without fans, or if there are fans there, it'll be, they'll have to be social distancing? I mean, can you see something like that down the road?
Well, in the short term, meaning this year, that's probably the only way it can happen in any sport is to have no fans.
Right.
I think the liability and the logistics of it and the public backlash of having, fans in stadiums isn't going to happen this year.
Yeah, that's scary.
Will there be games? That's all hope so. We can play games without fans, made for TV events, which is where, if you read in the newspapers, that's where the finances are coming from. It's mostly from television contracts.
Yeah.
And so I think every league is going to do whatever they can to the best of their ability to find a solution to play games, but it definitely will be without fans.
Bill, how weird would that be? I mean, in your playing career as a professional, did you ever play a game without fans? I would imagine the answer was probably no, but I mean, did that ever happen to you in your playing career?
No. You can play in arenas where the team is so bad they don't draw very many fans.
Right.
But they have a clean site, so to speak, is the buzzword being used. No, that hasn't happened before. The G League, quite frankly, last year did it here in Las Vegas. They played in ballrooms.
Yeah, I was there. Yep.
You can make the ballroom look really good for television because you can have all the signs and the banners on the walls of the sponsors and the league, and there's no visual of an empty arena.
Right.
And so it's been done before, no question about it. I believe that's a model for, at least for basketball going forward. Obviously, football doesn't fly in that environment, even if it's baseball.
Right.
Or hockey. But for basketball, it can be played on any court, laid down anywhere, as long as you have the height of the building, and going to have at least 30 feet going up. Other than that, if the court fits and you have enough run out, you can do it easily.
And I'm sure you would agree, doing that is better than no basketball at all. At least the fans here in Vegas and across the country would be able to watch the games on television. Speaking of the Las Vegas Aces, Coach, let's talk a little bit about your draft. For Las Vegas Aces fans that are maybe unaware of the players you got, can you talk to me a little bit about how the draft went for the Las Vegas Aces? Maybe break down some of those players that you're excited about.
Well, we didn't really have any draft picks. We traded them all the way to get Liz Cambage last year, which is an outstanding move for our franchise.
Sure.
But this year we had a third-round pick, which I'm not even going to get into that one right now because third-round picks, traditionally don't really make the teams at all. So, we didn't have a first-round pick. We didn't have a second-round pick. In our league, in the WNBA, we're not the men. The men, a first-round pick is golden. In our league, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th pick in the draft is in the first round gets cut a lot. Because there's not a lot of jobs. There's only 144 jobs, and the competition is so enormous that they have to fight tooth and nail just to get on a roster.
Gosh, that's incredible. You mentioned Liz Cam.
It's pretty brutal. It's like the world is today in the real world right now. People are going to look around and go, "Oh, wow." What was really nice, but reality going forward is going to be very brutal. So the competition to have jobs right now is going to be enormous.
Right. No question about that. Speaking of jobs and money, though, you had to be pretty pleased with what the WNBA set forth there in the last 6 months in paying players more money and taking care of players and travel. You must, as a coach and being around the WNBA as long as you have, you must be really happy that they've kind of stepped up to the plate a little bit and are taking care of your players.
Yeah, it goes both ways, though. Our league is not the most financially strong league around. But it was imperative that going forward to have a nice agreement and have a partnership with the players, we had to make sure we looked out in the best interest of the players to a point.
Sure.
Obviously, in today's world of the virus, stuff like that, retro looking backwards, it's going to hurt a lot more because we're going to lose revenue based on social distancing and no fans and just having people come back to the arena. So it cuts both ways. But from a player's perspective, I think they made a commitment. They didn't ask for the moon. They knew our league was, always going to struggle, and it was a good partnership. Now, going forward, that partnership won't be tested, but it's going to have to be utilized as much as possible, because we're all in this together to make sure that this thing is successful.
No question. And you know how big of a part of Las Vegas you guys have been, and I'm sure you would agree the fan support has been great at Mandalay Bay. Those games are so much fun. I speak for myself and say I have so much fun covering your games.
And it's good basketball.
It is.
It's actually good basketball to watch.
It's good, and it's a fun family atmosphere, and it's affordable. I think those are all key terms there, Bill. All right, so I have to ask you one annoying question, Coach, if that's okay. I'm sure you get annoying. I'm sure you get annoying questions.
Or a couple, because we have a few.
Bill, as you know, members of the media. Bill, members of the media have been asking you annoying questions for decades. You of all people know that, and sadly you've had to deal with it. I know that you've done other interviews and you didn't catch The Last Dance, but I have to ask you this question as far as the shaking hands things, and I know you really don't care about that anymore, but I have to ask it from this perspective. If you're coaching the Aces, and let's just say you guys lose Bill Lamby or the player back then, but the coach of the Las Vegas Aces now, what would be your response to that?
Well, there's got to be a reason why. So, that'd be the first thing that you'd have to understand is why are they going to walk off and not shake their hands?
Right.
If it was a legitimate reason and it had a great emotional bearing, okay, and I get it. If it's just to be pissy about the game or about the series, well, then that's not necessarily right, because it is still a sports competition. But if there was an underlying, a very intense reason why, then that's the player's business. They are the show. They are the game.
And we don't need to go back to that, but I can see through what you're saying, and that it was more than just pissy about losing a series. Obviously, it was more than that when it came to the Chicago Bulls. I think I'm stating the obvious here, but is that fair to say?
Yeah, that is the obvious, because we didn't care. Everybody gets beat.
Right.
Okay? You can't win every game in the whole world or every series in the whole world forever. Everybody gets beat. It was our time to get beat. It's just the manner of leading up to that for a year and a half did not sit well.
Bill, you've been on the record saying that you think that LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. You didn't watch the Last Dance. I did. And in that you actually saw when Michael Jordan was coached by Doug Collins, and you guys kind of locked him down when he was the one-man show. Do you think that LeBron James would have won a championship or would have beat you guys back then with Doug Collins as a coach? And do you think that Michael Jordan would have ever won a championship if Phil Jackson was not his coach?
I'm not going to throw Doug Collins under the bus. He wasn't there that long. And Doug was a very emotional coach and very changes like the wind. So I could see the stability not being there in the long term for that situation. But I think probably Phil Jackson did a lot for Michael Jordan and made him involve his teammates. That was the biggest knock on him, I believe, early on in his career. That when LeBron came in, he was involved his teammates. He knew how to play team basketball, where Jordan was more of an individual sport until he learned that he has to involve his teammates. And he got better teammates on top of that, too.
Right.
Also. But I think, if you look at the difference in the two players, this is how I look at it. You can't compare eras, because everybody will be the star of the eras.
Right.
But if you look at Michael Jordan when he was in his prime, was 6'6", and he was one of the biggest guards out there. Very difficult to guard because of the size, and he had good jumping ability. Today, all the guards are 6'8" and 6'10", and they're very athletic, and they can play defense. And so an advantage of the height would be gone. LeBron James is 6'8", 285, and runs like the wind and jumps out of the gym in today's world, and he's extremely successful in today. Now, if you took LeBron James and put him back in our time slot, oh my God, he would have been even more dominant than he is today because of his physical strength. He's a beast, and he's never seen someone like that in a physical specimen as LeBron James.
So, Bill, obviously there's intersection between the 30 for 30 that you guys had with the Bad Boys on ESPN, which I had a chance to watch again last night, which was tremendous as a kid who grew up in Lansing, Michigan, and was a Pistons fan. Yeah, but it's interesting. I want to get your take on this. The whole dynamic with the Chicago Bulls and Chicago as a city. Given that you had a relationship, a very close relationship, obviously, with Isaiah Thomas, your point guard there in Detroit, And I just wanted to get your take on that because that's a situation where he was beloved in the city of Chicago. Isaiah was, was just absolutely heralded. And then all of a sudden you have that dynamic, right, of Michael Jordan coming on the scene in the mid 80s as a star there in Chicago. That had to be something that must have been very strange, I'm sure, for Isaiah to have to kind of deal with, given that Michael Jordan, was kind of elevated that way.
Well, out of sight, out of mind is cliche for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah was in high school and in college. He was associated with Chicago, but then now he's associated with Detroit.
Right.
And that's professional sports.
Yeah.
And the people of Detroit embraced him to no end. He was like beloved in Detroit. That somebody else came along, it happens every day.
Mm-hmm.
New wind blows down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody else takes over. And that's what Michael Jordan did, rightfully so. It became his basketball team and his basketball town.
Yep.
He sucked all the air out of the room, and rightfully so. So, in the early on part, I think it bothered Isaiah a little bit. But in the end of the day, he realized, it's a business, and make the most of his opportunity in his newfound home of Detroit.
Bill, you always strike me as the kind of guy that that stuff is in the past, and you worry about the future and what you're doing with the Las Vegas Aces franchise. I really appreciate that about you. I think a lot of people do. So, with that being said, do you really care what somebody like a Horace Grant? Because I don't even know if you've heard some of the things that Horace Grant has said about you guys in this Last Dance thing. I'm not even going to repeat some of the things he said because I'm sure you don't want to hear it. But I mean, do you care that Michael Jordan still has sour grapes? That you didn't shake his hand? Do you care what a guy like a Horace Grant says? I mean, does that even bother you at all? Because you strike me as one of those people that you could give, a flying you-know-what.
Well, two things. One, unless you're a basketball geek, who's Horace Grant?
Ouch!
That's funny.
And the second is, Michael Jordan, he can say whatever he wants to. He's entitled to that.
Right.
That's his business. And he has the platform to do it. Because he is one of the greatest players of all time. And they come out with this 10, how many serious propaganda machine, and that's okay. I mean, he's selling himself. He's selling, it sells, especially when there's nothing else to put on television right now in the sports world. But, to each his own. I don't seek out the media. I don't want to do the media. I rarely do interviews, such as talking about the WNBA.
Right.
Because that's all the rest of it's past history. That's
right.
part of my life. No regrets whatsoever. I have no rear view mirror. I only look forward.
Sure.
Bill, there was a lot of coverage about Dennis Rodman, the actual basketball player, not the off the court personality. And I've heard people recently they've said that Dennis Rodman's probably the best on ball defender in history of the NBA. How important was Dennis Rodman's defense, in your opinion, to helping you guys win those two championships with the Pistons in '89 and '90?
Oh, it was imperative. We went from the highest scoring team in the league. We hold the all-time record of 186 points to the best defensive team in the league and arguably in history of basketball in their time slots. So we made a dramatic change. And it's personnel. You have to have the right personnel to play defense. You have to trust the individuals. You have to have people that want to embrace that, like Dennis did. And we had a guy named John Sally. He was a good, solid shot blocking person from off the ball, which helped us also. Dumars was a dogged defender. I was a plugger. Anybody came down the lane, I was always right in their face and made them pass the ball, and the teammates helped. So it's a team. Defense is a team sport, not necessarily individual sport. So Dennis fit right in, but it was really good to have Dennis be able to put him on their best small forward, or at times their best guard, and not have to worry about that because he would take him out of the game, both physically and probably mentally.
Coach, on a lighter note, I like Asia Wilson's her style, her clothing style. I've noticed she's worn throughout the seasons some retro Bill Laimbeer shirts. I wanted to know what she thought about that. I enjoy them, actually. What has she said to you about that?
I've got a picture, Brian. I've got a picture, actually, Coach, of me and Asia together, and she's got one of those, those old caricature shirts from 1988, which has you and has Dennis and all the guys. Yeah, awesome.
What do you make of that, Bill?
They're embarrassing, but when you're winning, a lot of people, make stuff and not only to sell, but also have memorabilia for the future, and that's cool. I get it. I was never really, the only one I ever got in the middle of was a photo of Rick Mahorn and myself called the Bad Boys. That
you're wearing the black hat, right? The black hat.
We're wearing black shirts and and sunglasses, and it was a Rolling Stone shot it for an article.
Yeah.
And it came out so good that we bought the rights to it, and we had 5,000 of them printed, and we sold them to all of the like fast food shops in town as giveaways, and all the money that we raised we gave to charity.
That's great. That's so awesome. I have to ask, when she strolls in to Mandalay Bay with one of those shirts, do you guys say anything to one another? Do you laugh? Like, does she say something to you? Do you say something to her?
Now, most of the time, what happens is, the women aren't going to come in a T-shirt or not. They're going to come, in today's world, they're going to come with their whatever style they want to present because their social media is taking pictures of them on the way.
It's called a game day drip, Coach.
After the game is when she puts on the T-shirts for interviews and everything like that. So she's not coming into the game. She's coming into the game with her style on and her pearls and a whole bit like that.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We've talked a lot, Bill, about you as a player, but I think it's important to mention you as a coach and how successful you have been. You took the Detroit Shock, correct me if I'm wrong, to 3 league championships, 03, 06, and 08. The head coach of the Liberty, you had some success there. And now here with the Aces, what you've done here in a few years, is incredible. Twice you've been the WNBA Coach of the Year. If you had to tell us in a few sentences, what is the recipe of success, Bill Laimbeer, as a WNBA basketball coach? What would you say?
I treat the players like I want to be treated as a player. I demand of them. I expect excellence and accountability at all times. And when they don't, I let them know. One of the things that all the players say about me over the course of time is I am a really brutal and honest person when it comes to just telling it the time of day. And that's foreign for almost all coaches. But the players really appreciate to know where they stand at all times. They're not guessing and not trying to do something they think the coach wants.
Right.
They only get themselves in trouble.
Sure.
So that, I hold people accountable and I expect team play. All hallmarks of great teams.
Sure.
And winners. And so they appreciate that, and that's how it works.
And I'm not asking you to throw anybody under the bus here, but do you feel like with some of these NBA coaches, it's more, in some instances, a players' league, and sometimes NBA coaches are put in a position where maybe they can't even do that, and because of that, maybe the players do not respect them. And I'm not saying that's the case with the majority of NBA coaches, but I do think it's fair to say in some situations, players lose respect for coaches that do not do what you do. Is that fair to say? What would you say with the player-coach relationship as the WNBA as opposed to maybe an NBA situation?
Well, I think the respect has to be earned. You're not going to find many Popoviches out there, but that's a longevity thing, and you have to have success early on. Otherwise, the players will look the other way, and you'll wash out. You only get so many chances, so you have to be in the right situation at the right time, and for a coach to be, have that opportunity for long-term success. There are exceptions to that rule, but very seldom. So I think you have to be honest with the players and there's so much money involved now. If you can't manage the players and keep them on the same page, they all go sideways because they all have egos. They all want to make more money. So it takes a special person to be a long-term coach in professional sports these days.
Do you think your approach would change at all from just the accountability perspective if you were coaching an NBA team? Would you change your tone, or would you be the same Bill Laimbeer that you've been as a WNBA coach, just from that perspective of holding players accountable?
I'd be the same. I always said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Okay, I'll go get another job or retire. I've retired 4 times in different areas. So, you can't be someone you're not. If you try to be someone you're not, the players see right through you. So, and each his own. What works to each his own for coaching. I would go do it my way, and if it didn't work out, well, okay, so what?
All right, Bill. Last question for you. LeBron. It's 1989. LeBron James is driving baseline. You step up into him. He's coming at you. He's jumping in the air. What do you do? How do you handle the situation?
He'll punish me. He's that big and strong, and he's that fast, and he's got leverage, and he has a good core. So he'd run right through me. It would hurt. But, that's my job, is to be there, standing there when he's coming in that area.
Yeah, no question. Bill, I know you don't do a ton of this stuff, and I want you to know every single time you come on our show, we always appreciate you for doing it. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Vegas and the Vegas Aces organization, they're very lucky to have you. You're doing a phenomenal job. Please keep up the good work. Obviously, we hope we're going to have a season, but we also want to make sure that, the safety of the players and everyone in the organization, we have that as well. But, Coach, thank you so much for joining us as always. We really do appreciate it. And good luck, and we hope we have a season soon.
Me too. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Thanks, Bill. There you go. That is Coach Bill Lambier, multiple NBA champion with the Detroit Pistons, 4-time NBA All-Star. I do like his candid. He's very candid in these interviews, and he's always very honest. And I think my favorite part of that interview, I had a couple favorite parts, but my favorite was when I brought up Horace Grant. By the way, Horace Grant called the Detroit Pistons a bunch of bitches.
He did.
And Bill Lambier.
That was rather funny, by the way.
Bill Lambier's response was, "Who is Horace Grant?" I thought that was really funny. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, God, do I love the show Sopranos. It's my favorite show in the history of television. And this guy is known as Vito. Vito got whacked in The Sopranos, by the way, for being a homosexual on the show. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about that. And, God, what it was like to be on the set of The Sopranos. I can't wait. Joseph Ganascoli, also known as Vito from The Sopranos. He'll be joining us next right here on The Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
SportsX Radio Nation, what's up? It's Ken Thompson, host of SportsX Radio, reminding you to catch me at my new time, 8 to 10 p.m. for the local Vegas sports coverage, plus the national scene as well. That's SportsX Radio on the new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDWN.
More lawyer, less fee.
I'm attorney Paul Powell. Have you been injured in a crash? Do you want to win your case? Do you want the insurance companies saying,
"It's Paul Powell"?
Of course you do. I've spent almost 20 years helping injury victims get paid, and I for sure can help you.
If you're tired of greedy lawyers, call 728-5500 or go to paulpowell.com.
I really can help.
Paul Powell. More lawyer, less fee.
Some restrictions apply.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Liberty Mutual Insurance Company helps you customize your home insurance so you only pay for what you need. Unlike things you paid for you didn't need, like the Vacnado 2000. A Wi-Fi connected vacuum that uploads Dust Bunny data to the cloud for real-time optimization. Whatever that means. But really, it's just a very expensive doggy chew toy. With Liberty Mutual, get customized home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN, the talk of Las Vegas. Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Friday. Now, if you're wondering what that music is all about, it is the intro to The Sopranos. And one of my favorite shows ever in the history of television. In fact, we were just watching it here after the show yesterday. We all love The Sopranos here. And it's a show I still watch regularly. I've probably seen every episode about 50 times. So if you don't know who Joseph Ganascoli is, he played Vito on The Sopranos. And if you're even an avid Sopranos fan, you know who this guy is. Now, if you don't, well, we have a little clip to play you. This is Vito from The Sopranos, ladies and gentlemen. Have a listen to this.
Morning, Vince. Usual? Been dreaming of those Johnny cakes.
Can't be Jim's Johnny cakes.
I saw you at the fire last night. You got balls, my friend. You don't get paid for that, right?
We're all volunteers.
Back where I come from, You join the fire department to steal shit from people's bedrooms.
How's the book coming?
It's fucking slow today.
Writer's block, huh?
Let's just say I like eating a lot more than writing.
That is Vito, also known, his real name, Joseph Ganascoli, and he's, by the way, doing some great things to help people in need during this pandemic. Joseph, thank you so much for coming on with us, my man. How are you?
Oh, very good, and thank you for having me.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Doing
great.
fantastic. Certainly, when you hear clips like that, what's the first thing that goes through your mind?
It brings back great memories, and working with Sean Costello, who passed away tragically. But still good to know that 13 years later, people are still enamored of the series.
Joseph, everywhere you go, I mean, do people say, hey, Vito? I mean, do you still get that all the time, and how do you handle that?
Generally, they're nice. I mean, if they don't know me, they call me Vito. But most of my friends or people know me as Joe, or the ones that don't, they don't know, my first name, Vito. It's okay. It's cool. As long as they're respectful and nice, I don't have a problem with it. I always ask them if they want to take a picture. They're too embarrassed to ask.
I remember, Joseph, you were in town in Las Vegas, and I was actually at the show. Howard Stern was broadcasting here, and I think you were a guest on his show, if I'm not mistaken. You were a part of it. And I remember this was back in the day when Artie Lang was a part of the show. Yeah, you know the story I'm bringing up. And Artie Lang got tanked. I mean, he was so drunk. And when he saw you in the hallway, there's a video of this, he called you Gay Vito, and said some other things, and he was just so drunk. I remember that, and it got all over YouTube. It's all over YouTube and all over social media. Do you remember that, partying it up in Vegas with Artie Lang, and then you got him calling you Gay Vito? Do you remember that day?
Well, I didn't remember it at the time because I was hammered myself. But, he wanted me to come to his room and hang out, and I love Artie. He's a tremendous comedian. I don't like many comedians, but I always loved Artie. He's a lot like me. We eat, we gamble, two degenerates. So that was a great time. I remember. From what I remember, it was great.
Yeah, that was certainly a lot of fun. I mean, I want to talk to you, of course, about how you're donating food and you're helping those in need. We'll get to that in a few minutes. I think it's really important. It's some great stuff you're doing, Joseph. The truth of the matter is, going back to when you first started to appear on The Sopranos, did you ever think that it would become one of the biggest hit television shows of all time? And was there a point where you actually did think that when you were filming?
Well, the first year, as you know, that I played a different role. I was just a bakery customer at Gino, trying to get bread, and Chris throws me out, shoots the kid in the foot. And by that time, episode 8, was sort of like a cult following, and I was into it. And then they brought me back as Vito, which was really cool. I think I'm the only guy that played two different roles. Maybe Patsy Parisi is the other.
Right.
But he played his twin brother.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
But the fact that they brought me back, I was so blessed and lucky to do that. But then I had the idea to make my character gay from a book I was reading, and that changed my life. So I was lucky, right place, right time. I'm thankful they took my suggestion. The only one they ever took was David Chase. And like I said, it changed my life. I think it made television history. And here I am. Here we are.
Have you gotten a response from like the LGBT community, given that you're a homosexual on the show? And I mean, look, there's so many scenes, Joseph. Obviously, that scene, obviously, when you're in the actual gay bar and you're wearing that outfit. I mean, if you talk to any Sopranos fan, they're gonna zero in on scenes like that, and they're so memorable. But have you had reaction as far as like people coming up to you and saying, look, it was interesting that you're able to portray that character on that show?
Yeah, I was getting emails at the time, people in the Navy, people, living a double life. I was the poster boy for that community.
Right.
Until I came out with my own pool cue.
Yeah.
And then they turned on me. So.
Wait, did you really?
My tagline was, does this pool cue make my ass look fat?
Wait, that's true? Wait, hold on a second. So you really came out with your own pool cue company? Is that true?
Yeah,
that is excellent.
Actually, if you look in images on Google, you'll see Artie Lang posing with the pool cue because he's a big pool player. I'm not, but I saw it as a way to market it.
Right.
And it was a cue to die for. So they thought I was glorifying the abuse of a gay guy, which I wasn't really. But I've had a lot of good ideas, but that one sort of backfired.
I hear from a lot. I can understand why it might have, but that's an interesting situation. So I want to talk a little bit about what it was like, being on the set, because you hear from a lot of people like yourself, and they say, James Gandolfini was the greatest guy to get along with, such a great professional, but at the same time, worked with so many people and helped so many people, like Stephen Van Zandt character, who had never acted before, by the way. So can you talk to me about what it was like just being on the set with those guys? I mean, because I hear from a lot of people on that show that it was kind of like a family.
Yeah, it was we were all pretty much lucky to be in that sort of family of being on the show, and Jimmy was the leader. I wasn't particularly close with Jimmy, but he affected me in several different ways. Came to my wedding with his son, spoke at my wedding, came to my restaurant, did an appearance like a lot of cast members did, and took me aside and said, if you're not comfortable doing this veto role, we could go talk to David. And I thanked him. I said, I asked for it, so I'm going to go along with it and see what happens. So
wow,
I'll always remember those gestures from Jim, and it was just a pleasure of. He was just a regular guy who was a tremendous actor, and really taken from us way too soon.
Yeah, it's very sad, extremely sad. I heard stories, Joseph, that Gandolfini would smack himself in the face before scenes just so he'd be angry. I mean, did you ever see that? The guy would hit himself in the face just so that he would get into character. Did you see stuff like that from him?
I've never seen it. I've heard that myself, but everybody's got their different ways of preparing for a scene.
Right.
So Joseph, and at the start of 2021, there's going to be a movie released called The Many Saints of Newark, which is going to be a prequel to The Sopranos. And Michael Gandolfini, James's son, or Jim's son, is going to be starring as a young Tony Soprano in that. Have they reached out to you at all about possibly being at the premiere, being involved with the actual promotion of the film at all?
No, I've not heard anything. They certainly don't need me. It's a shame. I was looking forward to it in September. Now it's postponed because of COVID. But nope, I haven't heard anything.
So I have to ask you this. Let's switch topics here. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Joseph Ganiscoli, fantastic actor. Didn't know he also has some pool cues that are available for sale. Vito, of course, from The Sopranos.
No. That's 15 years ago.
Okay. Are there any Vito cues up there on eBay that I might be?
Yeah, because there might be, right?
Yeah, are there any floating around there?
You never mind. You might. A woman took, what I had left after they shipped them to me. Listen, we can't do nothing with them.
I got to find one of those, but I got to find one of those. But Joseph, I want to talk a little bit about what you are doing, helping people in your community. People like you are heroes as far as I'm concerned, using your platform to help others. Talk to me a little bit about the food that you've been donating to help so many that are in desperate need of it. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So trust me, I'm no hero. I'm just a regular guy that recognizes what people are doing. I'm in a position to make a difference, and I try to do that. That's what I teach my daughter, make a difference in the world. And I do it because I can. So I was a chef before an actor. So obviously I have an affinity for restaurants. If you never noticed, if you looked at me. I was in shape when I was back back chefing. So my sister-in-law is a nurse in a little hospital over here in Long Island. She works in labor and delivery, and my niece runs a department in a hospital in the Bronx. And listening to what they were going through, my niece actually got the virus. She recovered. She's back working. So I want to help restaurants in the neighborhood, do business, the ones that are still open, and get them fed and all their departments and workers. So I've been doing it now. I'm finishing my month. I started with a goal of 1,000, went to 2,500, then 5,000, 15. Now I'm at 25. My goal is 50,000 because I feel that we're going to be through this for another month. And I buy food from restaurants and go around donating it to different departments. Today, I delivered to one hospital. A woman says, we're not getting anything at 11 o'clock at night, so I'm going there. And the woman this happened just today.
Wow.
I constantly I don't like saying no. So it's cops in Babylon. It's another section in Long Island. But I order food, they're picking it up. But I order the food, I pick it up, and I deliver it. I do it alone. And I rely on, donations from $5, $10, $15, $20, $50, $200, $5,000 the guy gave me, the contractor. And I want to help as many as I can. I've done it for the sanitation, post offices. I've taken them breakfast many a time. I do it for the hospitals, nursing homes, sanitation, anybody that's the essential, plus the people in the hospitals.
Wow.
Joe, obviously you are there in the tri-state area in New York. I have a brother that lives over in Brooklyn. And, of course, this is impacting us across the globe as well as here in the United States. And here in Las Vegas, we have interesting and unique challenges here. But just from a personal standpoint, Joe, your thoughts regarding there in New York, we have never seen anything like this. What is it like when you go out and you just see the streets deserted? What is it like when you roll through Manhattan, right? And there's just nobody around and nothing going on. This has to be absolutely just mind-boggling to yourself and to all of us to see what exactly we're going through here.
Yeah, I'm not in Manhattan. I
Okay.
only see the pictures. I'm in Long Island, but I'm from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see the pictures. It's a ghost town. The only one that's out of the muggers and I don't know, criminals.
Yeah.
Because they got a free pass to come out, and the homeless have taken over the subways, and so that's pathetic. So my heart goes out to the people that got to travel on those trains and go to work, and have to deal with that. And the nurses get mugged. It's pathetic. If that's what's going on in the city. But hopefully, we'll get through it like we always do, and we'll get some sort of law and order back in place.
It's incredible because I not to go back to The Sopranos, but I remember that you guys were filming. Obviously, you were in the middle of filming. Correct me if I'm wrong. During the whole 9/11 situation and terrorism. I'm just curious, how did that affect the filming of The Sopranos, just in general? Because there are some references, obviously, to terrorists and 9/11.
You're breaking up a little.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry, Joe. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay, great. I was just saying, not to go back to The Sopranos, but when you guys were filming, that was in the whole midst of 9/11 and everything that took place there. You guys were filming that show. How did that, because that's referenced in the show as well, how did that affect the filming of The Sopranos when that happened? Because in a sense, this pandemic it's a different situation, but at the same time, nobody's filming anything these days. It's you could argue it's worse. I don't like to compare. Yeah.
I think I got the gist of your question.
Yeah.
It was a break from that was just really New York. The rest of the country was going on their usual business.
Mm-hmm.
It affected airlines, and it took us maybe a month to maybe get back on track and to function, sort of. Certainly didn't affect the rest of the world, sort of.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it had an effect. I'm trying to think. 2001. I wasn't really heavily involved in the show just yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was season 2 I was in, or 3 by then, in 2001. But again, we got through it. It's something we still do at the Yankee games to recognize the 7th inning stretch of the the first responders, firemen and police and EMT and so on. And it goes on to this day, and hopefully we never forget honoring them.
Now, Joseph, you said that you weren't necessarily very close to Jim Gandolfini, but who on the Sopranos set were character cast member were you the closest with?
Yeah, I didn't get any of that, bro. Sorry.
All right, sorry. I think we must be on a bad phone connection. But why don't we ask you this to end this interview, because I think this is the most important one, and I'm sure you would agree with this, Joseph. How can people get involved if they want to donate food, if they want to do the types of things that you're doing in really helping people during this very difficult time? Can you give any information out to people out there that want to be involved to help?
Yeah, but they can go to GoFundMe and put my name in, Joseph Canascoli. They can go to Twitter or my Facebook, and they'll see all my pictures and videos. I document everything that I'm doing, and they'll see my today's delivery, and they'll see everything I did. It's more on Facebook. I try to put up pictures, but I do live videos on Facebook, and they'll see the link that they could donate, and whether it be 5, 10, 15, 20, I don't care what it is, comes from the heart. Every cent goes to buying food from the restaurants and bringing it to, I just hate saying no to anybody that asks, so I try to do it all, and I'm getting low on money. Probably got enough for one more week, but like I said, I want to go for the month of May. So, yeah, I mean, I spent, I think, $1,500 today. I spent
Wow.
$1,000 yesterday, and different. Tomorrow I'm delivering the breakfast to the labor and delivery. I was thinking about doing, pizzas for families that, are nurses and essentials. But then if I get, 40 pizzas and then 50 show up, I mean, what am I going to do? So
Right.
Thinking about that, I don't know what to do. But yeah, please, if they can go to Facebook and Twitter, or just put my name, Joseph Canascoli, and GoFundMe, they'll see meals for restaurant workers. I forgot what the heading is. Meals for restaurants and hospital workers.
Sure.
And needy families. I donated to some needy families some food and giving them kids get diapers and stuff.
Sure.
Bought diapers for them and stuff like that.
Well, Joseph, I know you're a very modest guy, but I want to say it again. It is incredible work that you're doing, and you're helping so many people, and you need to be commended for that. And thank you for what you're doing. I also want to thank you for your time, for coming on the show and sharing some great stories of your work on The Sopranos. I've been a big fan of yours for many years. Please keep it up. I hope people will donate as much as possible, and you can continue to do what you're doing, and you're really doing some great work. Joseph, hopefully we can have you on again sometime down the road. Really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me. Anytime you want, just let me know. And hopefully, people will, if they can, that'd be great if they could donate. But stay safe. Take care of yourself. Be careful. Wash your hands. If you can't, don't touch your face until you do that, or the Purell. Sanitizer.
Absolutely.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thanks a lot, Joseph.
Appreciate it. And that's great advice he gave. You heard it from Vito himself.
I'm telling you, Brian, JD, he's downplaying. He had a severe impact on that show. He was a big part of that show.
Absolutely.
He had a lot of the one-liners, right, guys? A lot of quality one-liners.
But that scene, like when he breaks the chair.
Yeah,
and then that scene, like that just what happened with how when he died, his death was.
They shoved. He was the one that took out Jackie Jr.
That changed. Yeah, he was. You're right. He was. But that changed the perception of that was a very, very mainstream LGBTQ moment.
Yeah,
especially in the media at that time.
I do find it interesting that the way he was murdered in a very brutal way, they shoved a pool cue in an orifice.
Right.
And then he decides
he capitalized on it.
Decides to open up
that makes me very happy.
I got to buy one of those pool cues. I want a Vito pool cue, and I'm going to go on eBay.
And he would sign it.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah, he would absolutely sign it.
I would hang that up on my wall. All right. That was a lot of fun.
I think there's a squirrel over there. Maybe it's a possum. I don't know. There's a bird over here.
I'll tell you, Vito sounds like Vito. It didn't sound like he changed his voice that much.
No.
But anyway, that was a real treat having Vito, Joseph Canascoli from The Sopranos, just on the show. Please help him out. Help the people out. Donate. We're going to try to do our best to put that link up on our Twitter page so you can get involved. Help Joe do what he's doing, and that is donating food to all the needy. It's really great stuff that he's doing. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Michael Jordan passed up $100 million. We're going to tell you what it was for. You're not going to believe he passed it up. That and our hate mail segment of the day. Coming up next, you're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
A Home for Spot Animal Rescue reminds you with this hot desert heat, never leave a dog in a car unattended, even with the window open. Also, remember to protect your animals from the hot summer rays and keep them well hydrated. Keep in mind that if asphalt is too hot for your feet, they're also too hot for your dog's paws. And dogs always want to play, but don't let them overexert themselves in this heat. And if you see excessive panting, discolored gums, or mobility problems, seek help immediately. If you're looking for a new friend who needs a forever home, go to ahomeforspot.com. That's a home, the number 4, spot.com.
No money down to file a bankruptcy? At Fair Fee Legal Services, you can file a bankruptcy for no money down. Keep your car, your house, and everything you own. Stop paying those high-interest credit cards and payday loans. Fair Fee Legal Services will file your bankruptcy for $799 or no money down. Get your life back for no money down.
FairFeeLegalServices.com, 702-703-3333.
Saddle up. It's new Dynavite for horses.
Dynavite does give you quick results. One horse, the first time I fed Dynavite to her, she took off running across the whole pasture as fast as she could. You could just tell she felt great. And it doesn't take much, one little scoop in their grain. I've been feeding Dynavite to my 5 horses, and within 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in their coat and their behavior. NASDAQ was a 3-year-old thoroughbred, and I only had 8 to 10 weeks to get this horse in shape for the retired racehorse project last year. Dynavite really helped him to relax his muscles, regenerate, rebuild, and stay physically and mentally fit for the job. We got top 20. You do see horses take in these 15 different supplements that are all going to overreact with each other, and I think that would make a very confused horse. Simple is so much better. I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
Mark Levin, weekdays 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now back to the Vegas Take on 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro, wrapping up a show on a Friday. Hope everybody stays safe, by the way, this weekend. And what I mean safe is I mean practicing social distancing. That is still extremely important, and we hope everybody continues to do that. Speaking of caring about others and wanting everyone to be safe, I don't know if everybody feels the same way about me, but we'll test that out. It is our segment of Hate Mail brought to you by producer Jason Stein. Jason, what are they saying about me today?
Okay, first comment. I just realized that if I listen to Brian for more than 5 minutes, I get a migraine. That's the comment.
Yeah, it's not funny.
You know, I could actually transfer that thought. Today, Chris was so loud, I had to literally take off my headphones twice.
Next comment. It's more and more obvious that Brian has failed in life, and this is why he's so angry 24/7.
I've failed in life. I don't think I failed in life. I think I've done quite all right. But, okay. Go ahead, Stein. We got more static. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's because the camera got moved here.
Okay. Go ahead, Stein.
A lot of very important to have me on camera.
I don't know.
They're clamoring for it.
Yeah, they are, Stein. I've seen it. It's your new hair.
Yeah,
you've got a lot. You've got very long hair. They're liking your long hair. Your full head of hair.
Okay. Okay. I have a lot of this hate mail. It's a kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing,
right?
Where we laugh about Brian and some of the comments that come in about Brian or Chris or JD.
No, it's 90% Brian.
But for the first time, I actually have a true piece of hate mail.
Yeah.
A true piece of hate mail, like from someone who's probably involved in a neo-Nazi group or the Klan.
Like over-the-top hate mail?
Over the top.
Unacceptable hate mail?
Yeah. Someone says this, addressing Brian, who happens to be Jewish. Brian, if you don't like the First Amendment, move to Tel Aviv.
Oh, that's a very nice thing to say. That's cool.
And the difference between a cow and the Holocaust is you stop milking the cow after 70 years. Oy vey.
Yeah, it's anti-Semitic.
So what we're doing right now, Mad Max,
I think we're gonna block
that name, is now blocked. Sorry.
Yeah, and what
I'm sure he won't care.
But what he's saying is that you are milking sympathy from the Holocaust as if it was. He's downplaying the Holocaust.
Mm-hmm. That's a very intelligent thing to do.
And that's totally unacceptable. You've no business writing something like that on our page. If you like our show, that's great, but you are not going to, at least under this surname, hopefully you don't do it again with a different surname, but at least under this name, you're not going to respond to anything we have to do on our
By
page.
the way, I think that was the same person who was in the Michigan protest that jumped in there with his AR-15. I thought it was the same. I think it's the same guy. I think it's one of those guys from the Michigan protest. Go ahead, Stein. Pick or choose. Go ahead.
Christopher writes, I have a little apartment you guys can do your tiny little radio show in. Can I be on your tiny little radio show like Chris Wynn?
Isn't it funny when they say tiny little radio show, but yet they find themselves watching our show every day and listening?
And no one has described me as tiny whatsoever across the board on anything. So I don't really understand
women.
I don't understand the insult coming my way. I don't get it. And by the way, what difference does it make how small the actual place is where we're broadcasting
I'm
the
actually
show?
looking outside at Chris Wynn's pool.
Yeah, it's
I'm
not
about
small,
to go out
right?
there, take my shirt off, and get 30 minutes of sun after
The
the show.
Wellness Center is large, isn't it, JD, Stein, and Campaign, and Brian?
Yeah.
It's not like we're in Brian's apartment.
And we've had some famous people that have been here. For example, Anderson Hunt spent a lot of time right behind us.
Larry Johnson has been at this humble abode before. Yes. So
next
the renowned realtor Lee Goldberg has been here.
All right, next.
Yes, a who's who of Las Vegas high society.
Nobody knows who that is. Go ahead, Stein.
All right, yes. Christopher also, I think that I said the last one was Christopher. Must be a different Christopher.
Lots Chris.
Brian looks like he's about to give that microphone head. Can I say that?
Yeah, I think you can say that. Yeah, you can say it.
The fact that that's the first thing that this guy thought of when he looked at me is a little scary. I think he's the one who wants to give me oral pleasure.
He's the guy.
Go ahead, Stein.
He's the guy that can't watch a Chippendales show because he's afraid it'll turn him on.
Guys,
well, that's why you didn't show up.
No, I watched the show. I just didn't come to the. I didn't come to the show. To our show.
You didn't. Well, you didn't in person. You didn't.
I'm sure it had nothing to do with that. I was busy at the time.
Right, if you say so.
Next comment, guys. People on Twitter are saying that Brian's apartment had to be fumigated for lice, and that's why you're at Chris's. Is this true?
Nothing was fumigated. Actually, my apartment's very clean right now.
I'm gonna say 70-30 no yes on that one. Like that is actually a plausible scenario.
It was just a change of scenery, right, JD and Brian? That was the plan.
Well, I mean, this chair I'm in is 5 times more comfortable. Mark is an outstanding cook. We have a pool out there. I'm looking at leopard print campaigns. I mean, it's just a better situation here. Let's be real.
The chair you're in right now should be in Rick James's spot.
Oh, absolutely.
If
And
Rick James is still alive.
It would definitely be there.
Yes.
Anything else? Anything else?
Yeah, let's end the Friday on this one. Another sexual comment. Brian's hand looks like he's about to reach into Chris's pants and give him some love.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
That's actually true, by the way. I was thinking about doing that to Chris. I wanted to give him some hand release.
Finally, it comes
That's
out.
very true.
Yes, and there are many, many more, but we don't have time to get to them, so we'll do it again on Monday.
That leads into a story that we'll probably bring out on Monday regarding certain, sexual preferences.
And you know what? For those that think our show is small, we are averaging about 30,000 listeners a week. Our station is up 220% rating-wise since we started, and we are moving even more forward towards being a nationally syndicated show. So suck it.
Okay. Wow. This show turned into a very sexual show all of a sudden. I don't know. Well, listen. Even if you're one of those dope protesters, and there'll be plenty of them this weekend, I do hope everybody remains safe. I hope everyone practices social distancing. I hope everybody has a safe social distancing weekend. Just be safe out there and think about other people. I think that's the most important thing you can do. Wear a mask. Think about other people. And put people, basically be the opposite of Donald Trump. Put others before yourself. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Everybody, I'm sure Sean Hannity would agree with me because he's coming up next. Have a great day, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Your home for Sean Hannity, KDWN Las Vegas, KKLZ HD2 Las Vegas, a Beasley Media Group station.
I don't know if you can say give head on the air, but whatever.
Colleges in New York will remain
Absolutely.
closed for the rest of the academic year. Governor